What is this new algorithm? It's reading between the lines. No more noise, just precision. Matching hearts and minds. What is this new algorithm? It's the rhythm of what we do. If you post with purpose and passion, it's gonna find you true. Check my feed this morning, things feel brand new. Posts reshuffled, stories I never knew. No more chasing likes, no clickbait thrills. It's 360 brew, redefining skills. 150 billion thoughts in play. Learning what we mean, not just what we say. Every word, every vibe, every clue, all filtered through the lens of you. What is this new algorithm? It's reading between the lines. No more noise, just precision. Matching hearts and minds. What is this new algorithm? It's the rhythm of what we do. If you post with purpose and passion, it's gonna find you true. Scatter your thoughts and you'll fade away. Stay on your lane, that's how you'll stay. It craves clarity, names inside. Meaningful content shines so bright. Switch the system overnight. 1,000 models gone, new inside. Authenticity is the only vibe. No shortcuts left to right. What is this new algorithm? It's reading between the lines. No more noise, just precision. Matching hearts and minds. What is this new algorithm? Feeding dreams come through. Post with focus, keep it steady. 360's watching you. So update your story, align your name. The future's semantic is a brand new game. What is this new algorithm? It's learning the real you.
Wow, I can hear that over and over. That is an amazing song. Thanks for putting that together for me, Keith. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. We're doing very purpose-driven songwriting things now, aren't we? It's funky. It's funky. It's
It,
really
it
funky.
Christina, welcome. I am looking forward to today. I woke up this morning just so stoked and ready to dive into this conversation. So glad you're here, Meryl. I'm glad that you got the notification. It might be the algorithm doing exactly what we're told it's going to improve, connecting and bringing the right people who align with us. So today's conversation is going to be centered around not just 360 Brew, the new AI generation of LinkedIn's new algorithm. I want to say last week, but it was a couple of weeks ago, we started to scratch the surface. We were starting to learn about this. Well, I was starting to learn it. And this week, I want to dive into um, a specific part of this ecosystem. We want to talk about relevance and what relevance means to us, what relevance means to LinkedIn. There's going to be some tidbits that we're going to share. Listen, I'm not a expert by any means. I am sharing my insights based on the research that I've done and sharing my findings as the algorithm starts to embrace myself as I optimize my profile. Now, if you have questions and you're in the audience, feel free, drop those questions in the comments. We'll be sure to bring them up um, throughout the call. And if we have time at the end, we're going to bring people up on stage to join us if they want to participate in the conversation. If we're not already connected, or if you're not connected with Keith or Christina, feel free to reach out, connect, follow. We are multi-streaming today on LinkedIn as well as Substack and YouTube. I am now going to shut up for a second, get off my soapbox, and let you two kick us off. I say relevance. What does relevance mean to you? Who wants to go first?
Ladies first. Ladies first, I think.
All right. Well, relevance means to me to deliver my message to the right audience and to ensure that that message is useful to them and actually delivers the beginning of some transformation, which is ultimately what I offer with my services. So when I write a piece of content, being a newsletter, a post, or an article, I make sure that it is relevant to my industry as much as possible, whether from a technical standpoint or even from simply the point of view of motivating somebody that is trying to take those first steps in starting a business or personal branding. So I want to ensure that my content, if discovered by the lucky winner, right, is actually useful to them and is landing in front of the right eyes. That's what relevance means to me.
Fantastic. Keith?
Oh, this is a great question because the new 360 brew algorithm is challenging us to think differently. And I think as a consumer on LinkedIn, let's take the hat of the consumer. I want to get less mirror selfies in my feed. I want to get more. In my feed, I want to get more information that is relevant to me. So I guess there's two ways to think of this. As a consumer, what do I want to get from the algorithm? I want my feed to be more relevant to what I'm interested in. And hopefully that's what they're doing. And as a creator, now that I know that's what consumers want, I'm starting to create conversations that, as I've always done, conversations that are relevant to what I talk about. I don't talk about mirror selfies and pizzas at the beach. I don't use those tricks, right? So I'm hoping that this new algorithm will sort of weed out some of that trickery that people are using to get numbers. And you did a post about this here, this vanity metrics thing. So I talk about a certain thing. I want to hang out with people that want me to talk about that. I don't need a lot of people. I do shows every week and we have 6 or 8 people on them. But they're very, as you know, very dynamic conversations and with very engaged guests and listeners. And hopefully LinkedIn's new algorithm, can't help but say that in a Latina accent now. It's in my head. It's like it's just that beat, right? That beat is in my head. What is this new algorithm? I can't help but hope that LinkedIn's new algorithm will give me as a consumer a better experience, but also it'll inspire me as a creator to try and create that experience. Amazing.
Fantastic. So I'm going to bring up a slide from our last show that touches on or summarizes what some of 360 Brew does to analyze our content. Our profiles are now focused on our expertise in our industry, in our positioning, our professional titles and specifications. It is reading it as if it were human intelligence. It is analyzing our headline, our about section, and our engagement in other community members' posts, and taking that and ensuring that it is fed to members who align with our message. So when the question is asked, what does relevance mean? Relevance to me is purely finding alignment with what matters most to us. So today, I consider myself a creator. I consider myself a business owner. But for others, you might be a job seeker. You might be, so whatever it is that you describe yourself as, or where you find yourself throughout your LinkedIn journey, if you refine and retool your profile to align with what it is that you're aspiring to and the goals that you've set for yourself, you will be presented in front of an improved community. And I'm starting to see that today, and it happens relatively quickly. I engaged a couple of days ago in some LinkedIn coaches' comments and some of their posts. And all of a sudden this morning, I woke up and I couldn't find anything other than posts from other LinkedIn voices and LinkedIn coaches. So
Okay,
it,
it's
it,
working.
it is very quick and responsive. It doesn't have that long tail where you got to feed it uh, however much content as we were led to believe. This is happening in relative short order. I engaged in a couple of comments over the weekend, and this week I'm getting a lot of activity in my feed from LinkedIn coaches.
Yeah, and talking about engagement, you probably don't have time to manage the whole process. It's great that we're tag teaming here. There's quite a few comments here. Annie, Linda, uh, um, Meryl, Melissa, Chorito, Charles, Sharon, and I don't know if you want to call some of those out or put them up along as people come. But this is the thing that I love about the live streaming format on LinkedIn, and Restream does this to Substack and also YouTube. Most of these comments are coming from LinkedIn, but you've got some great comments there, and
So
I'll let you drive because I can't push the button. I'm so used to pushing the button. It's very
that's
interesting to be a guest sometimes.
so I've been putting up the comments that are coming in through the feed, and I keep forgetting that you're driving blind today. Share a little bit about your LinkedIn story. I did some research, and all indications point to the algorithm not being a contributing factor to what you're experiencing right now.
Yeah, it might just be completely coincidental. So on the weekend of Halloween, on the Friday night, actually the Thursday night, because we had the Friday off and we went away for the weekend. It happened to coincide with the Melbourne Cup weekend. We have a public holiday for a horse race here, and Thursday night we're getting ready to pack the car and fill the car with petrol and get ready to go. And about 6 o'clock, they said, "You have been restricted from using automation." I said, "I don't use automation." And anyway, you've been restricted, and I was restricted for the whole of the LinkedIn that weekend, which is fine because I was away. But it gave me a really amazing time, and gave me lots of reflection time. I thought, wow, what's going on here? And then I keep hearing about this algorithm, so obviously I am thinking that both are related. They may not be. And then I got my account back on the Monday, having got home after a long weekend, and then I was restricted again the following Friday, and I've been restricted 5 times since Halloween. Right, and I'm thinking, I'm just a person. I'm not using any automation at all. Maybe I'm a bit enthusiastic. Maybe, I don't know, but something's going on, and it might be coincidental, but I'm a little bit frustrated. And so I'm watching the comments here in the Restream studio, but also watching the show on Substack because I can't watch it on LinkedIn. I don't have access. And that has made me realize just how reliant I have become on LinkedIn. It's pretty
So,
scary.
so I will put you in charge of the Substack chat. We are multi streaming across the three platforms: YouTube, LinkedIn, and Substack. and we're also multi-streaming across, well, globally. But we have at this news desk, and I call it a news desk here. I have a prop ready to go for us, but we're bringing three continents together in this conversation, and Christina brought that up. So, isn't it fascinating how social media and live streaming brings the world together? And you wrote a song that kind of echoes that sentiment.
I've written so many songs. What song is that?
The one that you wrote for me, "Be Seen, Be Heard, Be Remembered."
Yeah, be seen, be heard, be remembered. You know,
There we go.
we're having so much fun with this idea of, and I look, I'm not. I got to be honest. I've never seen this done before. We're embedding stories from the show in the form of a song in the next show. So, that LinkedIn algorithm song came as a direct result of me being banned and you doing a song, a show. And then I said, look, I'll just do a Latina version. I said, man, that's the one. That's the one. Can I have a copy of that? I mean, because it just so perfectly symbolizes what we're doing. The way I did it, because I was in a bit of a bad mood, I did a sort of a Depeche Mode 90s punk synth punk song, with this very dystopian deep bass punk sound, because that's how I felt about the algorithm. I wasn't very algorithm friendly at the time because it was working against me. I felt like I was in a cage. Right? So I had the words didn't change, but the music changed. Right? And I have typically about 6 versions of every song, depending on how I feel. Sometimes they're very light and airy, and I might change the words a little. Other times they're sort of a bit of a comment song, a protest song. Here I am locked in again. I'm locked up. Come on, help me, help me. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it makes the shows very dynamic. And this is indeed what you teach. These are a great showcase for what you do. Sure, we're teaching stuff, but you're doing it in a very dynamic way.
Well, I appreciate that. And today we're going to dive into relevance. And before we do that, move on to the next topic of conversation. Merrill is mentioning. Imagine if the Kentucky Derby came with a federal holiday. Are you the only country continent that has a horse race that has earned a national holiday? You might be.
Isn't it a great discussion? Singapore, maybe Hong Kong. Charles might know. Charles? They have a lot of horse racing in Hong Kong. Maybe Hong Kong has a holiday. Anyway, it's a public holiday. The first Tuesday of November, which often coincides with Halloween, which is the October 31st. So often those weekends are together. This is the first time it happened to coincide so sort of well. But what a great idea, having a public holiday. When I don't go, I've never been to the Melbourne Cup, never gone, never will. But, it's a public holiday, so we might as well just stay at home and do our thing. What a funny thing. William's calling in or listening in, and hello, William. He's listening in on Substack. So it's very, very cool that we're doing these shows from afar. I'm in Melbourne, Australia. You're in Canada, and Christina's in LA, but I think you're from Italy. Is that right? Is that the sort of the global vibe we're talking about there, Christina? Is that your heritage, Italy? Have I got that right, or are you a Spaniard?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's my heritage, Italian.
That's right, San Francisco Bay Area, and you've got some Portuguese blood, Mariko. So I mean, it's really, really a global experience, isn't it?
it is a global experience. So now let's take that global experience and bring it back to relevancy. So in the past, we've recognized LinkedIn to reward us based on recency. You would post it. You would post, let's say now, whether it was a written post, short form, long form, carousel. They used to have what they referred to as the golden hour. You wanted to stick around and engage for that first hour with everyone who has um, engaged with your content. That is no longer uh, what's happening. The algorithm is pushing out your content and prioritizing the newest posts. Instead of the newest posts, it's evaluating how relevant your post is to the users and the professionals' interest and how they are engaging. So old posts, and we've all seen this, we now see old posts resurfacing, and because it's valuable to the members that it's being out in front of. Christina, have you noticed anything? What can you tell us about 360 Brew relevance versus recency? What are your thoughts? And what can we add in terms of value for our community members who are listening today?
All right. Probably the first thing that I would say is that what's going on is that LinkedIn is going through a corporate shift. You know, they're owned by Microsoft, and what they're doing, they're future proofing themselves, right, to be relevant in the next 10 years. So they're doing some, what we're seeing with 360 Brew is something that already was happening on Instagram and has been happening on TikTok. So now LinkedIn is adopting a similar strategy in term the content is regulated in a similar manner of that for you page of TikTok. If you go on TikTok and you start watching a bunch of videos of a certain kind, say it's weight loss or exercising, then you go on your feed and that's all you see. So if you join a specific community, all of a sudden it goes around about that community. So that's what's going on there. And so we're seeing the shift, the similar shift happening here. So the relevancy is very much associated with the feed of the consumer. So if the consumer is interested in topics such as, streaming or uh, doing live events or starting a business or, how to become the best social media expert, in the world, right? They'll start they follow those creators and they like and engage with those type of posts, newsletters, or events and comment on those events. Then what's happening is that when they wake up in the morning, that will be the thing on their feed. Now they are telling LinkedIn what it is that they enjoy. So before they would do the same, they would follow a creator, and they would. This is still happens. So you click on the bell or the double bell of a creator, and you get notified when they post something. But now there is a huge opportunity here. So what's happening now is that you still have your network that you spent years cultivating. Only you have to be a little bit more proactive in keeping engaged with that network, because they might not necessarily see your content because perhaps you don't know what they do behind the scene when they're not interacting with you. Perhaps they express interest in other ways and now they're receiving a different kind of feed. So the consumer will tell LinkedIn, I like this. I like that. I enjoyed this article. I can get enough of playing games and puzzles on LinkedIn. I love the short videos. And they'll comment on it, they'll engage on it, and they will see more of the content. So what we have here as creators is an opportunity, while as some veterans' voices might be sidelined, this is an opportunity uh, to to actually interact with people that we haven't interacted with before, that are now discovering us solely because of the words that we are choosing, of the topics that we are choosing to discuss. So, uh, in going back to what 360 do that, 360 Brew does, basically is LinkedIn AI, right? Is this large language model that is continually, sifting to all these words and languages. And what they're doing, they're looking at your headline. What words are you using that? What are you saying you are and you do? what are you saying that you do in your about? What is the transformation that you're trying to deliver and to who? And then they're going to look at your content and they say, okay, it matches, it matches, it matches. So that already is something that says, okay, this creator talks about this. And then they're going to match that with what the consumer is interested about. If they're interested in this recurrent relevant
Mm,
topic,
mm,
now they will see your content. So I know it's scary because for a lot of us, it's been about nurturing and growing your network, and you might have 7 to 10,000 followers, but in reality, you probably only talk to 100 people if you're really good at being consistent on this platform. So not only you have to, see who came to your event, right? Who's interacting with you, talking to them, who liked your newsletter, who liked your post, and trying to build those relationships. But at the same time, those are the relationships that you already knew how to build because you've been doing this for a while. Now, LinkedIn is doing some other work for you. Mining the relevancy of your content, they're associating with those consumers that want to consume it. So that's what I would say. I'll pass it on.
Can I ask a question? Unless you want to, do you want to pick up on that question? I'm not even sure I understand the question, but it was a pretty big one. Do you want to try and decode the question before we can answer it?
Yeah, certainly. So Spencer's asking, how can we build a self-evolving vulnerability detection algorithm that uses behavioral signals to preempt zero-day threats while avoiding adversarial drift and false positives? Well, we're getting scientific here. That is a great question. Um, Spencer, if you can elaborate, um, I'm trying to wrap my head around what you're
That is
trying to
that is
accomplish.
really big language. I
Yeah.
think I'm going to pick up on that and sort of go a little bit deeper into language of the common man. So the way I interpret that, and plus it's very interesting to me. Please elaborate, Spencer, because that was a very big question. I think I need a secondary degree just to understand the question. I think I went to the wrong university. But the question I have, and I'm very, very interested in this, especially the way that the language of the algorithm has been dictated. Do we choose the popular topics to get more engagement?
Hmm.
Talk about what we know people want to hear, or do we pick the topics that are our favorites that we naturally resonate with and hope that the audience will find us? Now, this is a very essential question because when you're first starting, you have this fear that, look, I'm just one person. How's someone going to find me? I mean, there's no way in the world I'm going to get heard. But there's a billion people on LinkedIn. No one's interested in what I'm thinking about. So you start engaging when you first start. You start engaging with the comments that everyone else. Oh, that's a lovely post. Yeah, of course I use LinkedIn every day, and LinkedIn's such a wonderful place. And are you using it too? And let's just talk about LinkedIn. Did you buy the T-shirt? Have you got the poster? There's a whole series on Netflix about LinkedIn. Did you watch it? And you have this sort of very generic discussion because you're trying to get in the zone. But what I'm really interested in is, do we go popularist and talk about what we think people want to know, or do we trust that we have something to say and just zone in and find our tribe? I've always been stuck in the middle there. Sometimes I play the populist game because it's vanity metrics, but I'm a person. I want to be liked.
Hey,
And sometimes I go down the lone wolf idea and no one listens to me. So what do you think? What are you thinking?
you are bringing up a very, very sensitive topic that I touched on yesterday, and we're going to dive into that. So, LinkedIn tells us, or what's being written and published now, the algorithm now uses relevance intelligence, weighing factors that like industry expertise, knowledge authority, and authentic engagement patterns, and not just likes and quick reactions. So, to kind of bring it back to your question, when I read this, it's telling me that, hey, be yourself, be the thought leader that you want to be known for in the live streaming, in the virtual event space, and people will gravitate to you and adopt through engagement your brand value proposition, your brand voice, and just be you is what I'm reading. But you're bringing up an excellent point. I did some research, and when I compare what I want to be known for, and I put up those keywords up against LinkedIn as a keyword, LinkedIn just shoots through the roof. And people, whether it's through Google or other search engines, people want to want and come to LinkedIn for one purpose. They come to learn, they come to network, and they want to improve their visibility as job seekers, as sales professionals, as business professionals. So it makes sense to supplement what you want to be known for, but also kind of lean into that
Yeah,
favorable content that
bit of a game.
strokes.
It's a
Yeah,
bit
it
of a
is a
game.
little bit of a game, and that doesn't change. Whether new or old algorithm, I would say, in response to your question, yeah, you still are going to have to manage both if you want optimal eyes on you.
You know, they do say you've got to kiss a lot of frogs to get a prince, right? So maybe you have to kiss a lot of frogs. You know, maybe you have to have. I mean, I've just put this in these in YouTube, so I'm watching on YouTube as well. So I'm watching on YouTube and I'm watching on Substack, but Substack questions don't feed into the restream feed, so we can't put it on the screen. But I think the YouTube one will. That's pretty cool. I think Bez is here too. If you want to, he's got a very unique view on LinkedIn because he loves it. He uses it all the time, and we are almost at opposite ends of the world on this topic. But I think he's in the zone now. If you want to bring him in, but
All
what do you
right.
think, Christina? What do you think, Christina? Should we play the game and kiss a lot of frogs, or should we be brave and say, you know what, this is what I do. I know this is possibly not a very sexy topic, but this is what I'm very passionate about, and I'm just going to do my thing. What do you think? It's a very difficult discussion if you want to get traction.
Yeah, so I think that is the work that you do before you get on LinkedIn and you decide to use LinkedIn as a platform to use to leverage, to be visible, to leverage visibility, and the work that you do once you're already in it, having done your research to see if what you want to do is even viable and people are interested in your product to begin with. So first of all, make sure that you have a good value proposition, and then make sure that you choose the right platform to spread that message, right? So but for most service businesses there is room here on LinkedIn. Now again, do we have to play the game? We do have to play the game, meaning that we are categorized whether we like it or not. We were categorized already in a way, but it didn't affect us much if we built the network in other ways. But now we're categorized with, okay, what are you? Are you a consultant? Do you do coaching? What is your, what category do you fit in? And then you're categorized again when you say what services you're offering in your service page. Then you're categorized again when you say what skills you have, and then you're categorized with the words you use in your headline and your about page, and you're categorized once again by matching all those topics, all those words to your content. Thing is, what the research is saying, and what from what understand from this new 360 brew, what's happening is those things have to match if you want to play the game. If you want to be your content to be considered relevant, and relevant means to be displayed in front of those people that have expressed an interest in those topics, or in front of peers that are in the same sort of business. And which is okay if you're, say you're a mindset coach, and you're all the other mindset coaches are seeing your content. That's all right, because you see their content too, and you have access to their audience too. That's why everybody's saying, oh, the comments are working a lot better, you're getting more impressions. What that is, LinkedIn wants us to engage, to talk to each other, to make comments that are not random, but they offer some value. And those are all ways for people that we're not connected to discover us and then to click and go look at our profile and what we do. And by the way, that's the one metric that I always look at: who's looked at my profile and who they are, more than how many times something was shown. Because the impressions that we get from posting are one thing, the impressions that we get from comments are in another place. So not everything is bundled together openly, but LinkedIn does it bundle it together behind the scenes.
Right. And impressions is anything above 1 second of dwell time. So someone could have
Yeah.
paused for a second because their thumb was sore from all the scrolling, and you got an impression, and you got an impression because they happened to stop on your post. Sharito is asking a great question. If relevance to professional interest is the name of the game at LinkedIn now, what happens to a lot of us who post daily about real life experiences, faith, inspirational quotes, which has nothing to do directly with our professions? Now, I'm going to share my take, and then I'll open it up to my two guests here. If that's where you feel comfortable and believe you're driving value, continue to do that, because there will continue to be an audience who wants to consume your type of content. The algorithm is just telling us that it's pushing your content based on relevance of what you're writing and relevance of what those who enjoy what you're writing consume. So you'll be put in front of those who enjoy and continue to enjoy those types of posts. It's not going to dry up. Similarly to this new trending word that I keep hearing now, slop. You know, there's this LinkedIn
AI slop. AI slop.
the AI slop. It I grew up with a similar analogy. It's garbage in, garbage out. If you put out
Yeah.
garbage, you're going to attract garbage. So if you're putting out inspirational quotes, you're going to attract those
Yeah.
who feel inspired with those inspirational quotes. So don't change what you're doing. The system and the platform will find a new home for your content and put it in front of people who will perhaps appreciate it more than they do today.
I think
Thoughts?
it's a good system. I think it's a good system to trust that this is. Let's just trust it. Let's trust that it's going to work. Like, um, I actually really like this question because LinkedIn is a very business centric discussion, and I'm not necessarily a very business centric person. So I have multiple elements to my personality. I'm a Trekkie. I'm a headbanger. I'm a vegetarian. I like traveling. I like going away for the weekend. I like cafes. None of these things have anything to do with business. So LinkedIn possibly, and this is an alternative view, maybe just don't talk about those things on LinkedIn. I don't think LinkedIn wants you to talk about those things. I don't know. We probably should have a LinkedIn person talking to us about this. I don't think LinkedIn wants you to talk about Star Trek. Unless you say the 3 lessons I learned from Spock that got me more clients on LinkedIn. Right, that would be an extremely good post that would probably go viral. Live long and prosper, right, on LinkedIn. Now, I might even do that. Live long and prosper on LinkedIn. We're going to take Spock's example. I'm going to do this sort of Spockian. I don't know what their music style is, but I'm going to try and do a Spockian song. Live long and prosper on LinkedIn. It doesn't seem to make sense, does it? Like, I mean, you're making it up to fit in the box. This is sort of the question I'm asking. Am I sort of making my personality fit in the LinkedIn box? If I like Star Trek and heavy metal, and I'm a vegetarian, and I'm, which is a strange dichotomy. I don't know very many vegetarian headbangers who like Star Trek. I mean, that's a pretty interesting combination. So does that mean that I can't talk about those things? My gut feeling is that is the truth. Yes, I can't talk about heavy metal on LinkedIn.
Uh,
It's not a heavy metal topic. What Metallica taught me about business. I mean, maybe that would be a good one. You know, what I learnt about lead generation from doing 16-minute solos on my Gibson SG. You know, I mean, we're starting to talk about really ridiculous topics now because I feel as a creative that I'm being put in a box, and unless I talk about what I do in relationship to business, I'm not going to get any traction. And that's okay because that's what LinkedIn is. It's a business platform.
yeah.
What do you think? Am I
Unless,
going off on a tangent?
no, I touched on this yesterday. Unless you're looping it and connecting it back to how it influenced, how it impacted you, and how it helped you, or how it could help others on LinkedIn, it probably will go viral. All the platforms, whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, everyone, every one of those like to have their ego stroked. And if their membership keeps posting on how to be successful on that particular ecosystem, yeah, it's going to gain some traction. Christina, what are your thoughts?
So I also recently covered this topic. You still have to be yourself, right? You still have to be authentic, and there are so many things and aspects that make a person. Um, the game is say what you are, say what you're doing, and match those topics, right? But then the personal connections you build, you probably end up building because you have something in common with them. And if everybody starts looking the same, saying, "This is my promise to you, and this is what I do," and the post is strictly about that without zero personality, uh, you know, people decide to do business with you because there is something that they like about you. Now, my journey is so belly up and completely different. I came to business out of passion for books and reading and literature, and somehow I translated that into business, is into personal branding and into e-commerce activities. So I found a way to merge them, just probably because I couldn't live without one, which was my real true passions, right? So even today, uh, I try to merge stuff that I find inspirational and motivational with relevant focus topics, and how to win at fulfilling your dreams, making your business successful, profitable, and one that you do like. So I make sure that that's a really good strong core part of my message. And Keith loves writing songs, right? I like writing poetry. So if I want to share my poetry on LinkedIn, I'm not going to share love poems, but I'll share poems to encourage people that want to start a business, they want to be discovered, they want to express themselves, they want to create something that is uniquely theirs, and they don't have to rely, on a full-time job to be able to sustain and fulfill their lives and their dreams. So I don't write poetry every day, but every now and then you'll see a post that is a poem about being here, being on LinkedIn, making connections, keeping and staying
Yeah,
inspired and inspiring others. So I think there is ways you can merge it. Another way you can merge it is that you can have your regular strong core content, and then every now and then you can come up with something, three things you didn't know about me, and just share them with people and put them out there. Somebody will see them, maybe they won't. Uh, you're not getting all the uh, shareability, likes, and going viral that you might get from other type of content, but that's okay to put it out there. If you want to share the
Mm.
part of yourself with your audience and say, there's something about me that perhaps you didn't know, I really care about this, and you want to put it out there, I think it's great. It will stay somewhere, on the internet there for people to discover it eventually. Or you can make it part of your story.
yeah,
If who you are and these things that you like are somehow related to what pushed you to be where you are today, just share it and weave it into your storytelling.
Yeah, and I
I
think
think
that ties in nicely with Sharon Rose's comment. She says she believes that it's cyclical. Just be your authentic self, and people will find you. I think that is the key takeaway. The algorithm will change; it'll evolve over time, but just be yourself. Because earlier on in the year, when everyone was up in arms that their reach and their visibility was tanking, mine was tanking, but marginally, because I try to keep true to myself, and I tried not to follow the shiny objects and the trends that everyone was chasing to get higher impressions, higher reach. That's that's just entertainment. I'm not here to deliver entertainment. I'm here to deliver value. And if I have to step outside and be something that I'm not, or that I'm not comfortable with, just to fit, then I'm probably on the wrong platform. All right.
it might be, and I think this is okay. It's okay if LinkedIn changes to the point where it's not that good for creatives. Like I think my angle now, which might coincide with the fact that I've been restricted 5 times, but it's more that I feel as a creative that I'm being put into a box. And I don't like that. I don't like being put in a box. But on the other hand, I want people to see my stuff. So if I can see that by playing the game, more people will see my stuff, I've then got to decide if I want to play the game. Some people will, some people won't. Some people will say, I am myself. If you find me, that's great. If you don't, well, that's just too bad. I'm not pretending to be someone else so that you can show up in some search for you. And I'm very interested in this. I'm very, very interested. I know Bez is behind the scenes. Are we
Yeah.
able to get him in? Is he? Is
We're,
he?
we're yeah, we're gonna bring him in. I have his comment queued up here. You can sprinkle in personal posts, but unless they don't have uh, a through line of that aligns with your profile and expertise, then don't expect much reach. We'll bring him up on stage and we'll have him explain. Bez, for those who aren't following or don't know Bez, he is a recruiting professional, staffing professional. So I'm very curious to hear his perspective from a recruitment lens. Let's bring him in here.
Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now. Let's turn off your camera. There we
Okay.
are. All right.
All right.
I have something queued up for you while we had you backstage. Go ahead, start talking, and I'm going to bring an overlay.
Yeah. It's really fascinating. I think when you're talking about LinkedIn, I think the very first thing you got to figure out is why are you there and what's your purpose, right? And then uh, that's going to be your North Star, right? It's and I think where a lot of people go wrong is, and it's not wrong. It's just that they come on LinkedIn without much intention, right? And so they put a lot of different content. And I happened to be on a early in the yesterday in a room of they had analyzed tens of thousands of LinkedIn posts, and they were running down some myths and busting some myths. And so you were talking about is personal content, like some people think personal content is the best for growth, and actually that's a myth. That's not true. They're saying that the best content to grow on LinkedIn is education. Is still number one. The type of content that grows the best on LinkedIn is education. So I know there was a question here earlier on about, hey, I post, a variety of things. I mean, you can, but what is the reason for that? Is there a reason that leads to the action that you're trying to get someone to take, and that action can be whatever it is. It doesn't have to be that they're buying. It can be, you know, whatever you want it to be, right? But does it drive them to that, you know, if that's what you're seeking? So because if you're trying to grow, and maybe some people aren't trying to grow, the, you know, personal content doesn't grow well, and not on LinkedIn, but education content actually grows very well. And the one of the other things we were talking about last night is that the 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 top 1% creators on LinkedIn, that they fail 80% of the time. 80% of their posts fail, but they're always tinkering and swinging for, you know, the fences. And 20% of their posts will do well, and they'll double down on what does well until it doesn't do well. So they were saying that so many of us, we play the middle ground of being safe, and that actually hurts us. So it's okay to fail on LinkedIn. You know, you just have to keep tinkering, keep trying to figure out what does well.
So here's a fascinating question. I know we're talking about LinkedIn, but I have to jump on Sharon Rose's comment. Is that why so many people are migrating and moving their personal content to Substack? Sharon, I love Substack as well. If we're not connected, let's look each other up and follow each other's writing and posts.
That
Sharon,
could be true.
Can you put your details in? I'm trying to find you too. I love this discussion. In fact, I love it so much I put it a secondary time. Where are all the technical and creative people now? Because, Bez, I want to pick up on this. You had said to me that someone has said to you, Bez, I just want a job. Why do I have to post all this BS stuff about branding? I just want a job. Like, I don't want to post every day about who I am and what I do and what LinkedIn has done for me as a person. I don't want to do that. I want a job. I'm here to connect with recruiters who have jobs, and I want to be the person they choose. So it's a very difficult discussion. Some people, I don't post on LinkedIn. I don't want to post on LinkedIn. I don't want to tell you what I'm doing. I want people to come to my show, which is 2 times a week. And I'm a little bit offended. I'm actually, as a creator, I feel like I've been put in a box. And I don't see this algorithm as a good thing for me. And it's probably good that we have this devil's advocate. All of the technical and creative people are moving over to Substack where they're free to roam. I feel like I can't run. Like someone's put the handbrake on.
I think LinkedIn. What's really interesting about LinkedIn is that they have tried to be a creator platform, and they failed at it, especially with the first go round. And they're not that. LinkedIn at its core is it's not like the other social media platforms. They are a networking platform where you connect and take conversations off the platform, right? That one to one. And that's the magic of LinkedIn. If you think about how LinkedIn made its 18 or so billion dollars last year, they made it with LinkedIn. I think 11 or 12 billion was through LinkedIn Recruiter, not through their ads platform, right? They also have Sales Navigator. They sell some LinkedIn premium products to consumers. They have an ad platform, but they, you know, the job seeker, the business person, the people trying to make connections and network. That's probably what the strength of this platform is. Why are people migrating to Substack? Because it's probably a better creative platform. And I know LinkedIn is doing this brand link thing that they're trying to do a second redo of matching up, taking creators and making them matching up their content to a B2B companies that need the creators' content. I'm not convinced they're going to do well on it, but who am I? They could be successful, right? But the first time go around, they were trying to be a creator platform. It just didn't do well.
What advice would you have for job seekers? What I don't think we've talked much about this. job seekers do represent a major part of LinkedIn. What does the algorithm offer them, and how can they use LinkedIn to their advantage to get a job?
Um, okay, so the person who made that comment, the actual comment, just to hone it down a little bit, they said, "Hey, how can I not be a creator and just get the job?" Because they don't like the post. They're more on the introverted side, right? And I said, "That's a great question. If you're asking that question, so are a lot of other people." Unfortunately, I think one of the things about LinkedIn is you want to be discoverable, right? You can apply for a job, but usually career seekers, when they're mid-level and on up into senior and even leadership, the numbers are like 0.03 success rate of applying. Now, I know LinkedIn is doing a lot of things with their AI, and they're trying to do a better job of that. But overall, even outside of LinkedIn, and when people apply for jobs, it's not a very successful use of your time, right? But again, networking, making connections. If you're going to apply, find someone internally who can use their link and they get credit for an employee referral program, because your profile is going to rise to the top, right? It's going to get extra consideration because you're going through a program. There's 99 ways to get a job, 99 plus ways than just applying. And I really feel for the introverted people that they don't want to post a lot. I mean, even me as an extrovert, do I have time to post a lot? Probably not. I'm not a big poster, but do I know if it's important? Absolutely. I know that, I probably should get a little bit better rhythm at least once or twice a week. But yeah, I feel for people that don't want to put content out there, but it's hard to be discoverable on LinkedIn if you don't at least put at least something out there on some type of cadence or rhythm.
It's very cool. What do you think, Americo? This is very interesting.
Well, I could tell you, and it's a great segue for the next question. If I go back in time and remember the conversations that Christina hosted in the LinkedIn audio rooms around so many subject matters, there's one thing that sticks out from one of the conversations, and she says it, and other creators say it: quality over virality. The importance of putting up quality content. Yeah, you want to be visible, you want to be found and readily or available to recruiters or to ideal clients that you're seeking. But the one thing that I'm hoping that this new algorithm will do more of, I'm still seeing some of it. I'm no longer seeing the bathroom mirror selfies, but I am still seeing these examples, the clickbaits, the engagement baits. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
like this is from 4 days ago, and it's got tremendous engagement, tremendous comments, and it's asking people, hey, can you spot the difference between these two pepper shakers? And it's still finding its way to my feed, and I have to go in manually and click, I'm not interested in this kind of stuff. This isn't important to me. So we have to train the algorithm. If there's something that is finding its way through to you and it's bringing you little to no value, it it's okay to remove it and say, hey, don't send me stuff like this anymore. No, it's no longer relevant now.
Yeah, this
Because
is this is actually very good. If we actually now encourage LinkedIn users as consumers, because we have obviously consume it as well. If we encourage our consumption of LinkedIn to train it to give us information we want, people will learn that they have to do that. I don't want to see that post either. I don't want to see posts about what pizza topping do you like. I don't want to see those posts. So when Facebook does this pretty well. So it's not interested. snooze for 30 days,
Yeah.
just delete. Don't show me this again. Right? And so, I don't want to see it, but she's a friend of mine, so I'll just snooze it for 30 days. Don't offend her. Hopefully, it'll just go away and drop. And then the opposite is, I love this. Show me more of this. Show me more of these cool memes or stuff I like, history posts, or the family tree of my favorite metal bands. Did you know that David Coverdale was in a band 3 years before that you may not have heard of, and here's their song? So things like that. Oh yeah, show me that. Yeah, I definitely want to see what David Coverdale was doing before he joined, Deep Purple. So I can choose, and I'm hoping this is a very good point. As a consumer of LinkedIn, I can get more of the conversations that interest me, because a lot of us don't realize this, but we are so wrapped up in promoting our own products that we don't think of it from the consumer's point of view. I want to share this really cool story. I went to this networking event, which I actually spoke at, and the person said, "Look, I'm going to start by asking you the question: how many of you have come here with the hope that you might get a client from this event?" And everyone put up their hand. Right now, keep that hand up, but put up your hand if you came to this event with the expectation that you were going to meet someone that you were going to buy their product. And no one put up their hand. No one, not a single person. And she says, look at that dichotomy. You come here full of beans, full of your spiel, but you didn't come here to listen to their spiel. So while people are talking to you, you're just waiting for your turn, aren't you? You're just waiting for your turn to sell your stuff. You're not interested in their stuff. So as a consumer of LinkedIn, I don't want to be sold things. I want information, and Bez is right. LinkedIn is best at education. It's so good at that, isn't it? LinkedIn is really, really, really good at education, learning things. In fact, I think, Americo, you said that's one of the reasons you signed up for premium, because they've got a whole learning library. Yeah,
That's right. That's correct.
but no one wants to be sold to, do they?
Well, people want to be sold to, but they want to be sold under their terms and their conditions, not be forced into a corner, or be that proverbial square peg trying to get pushed through a round hole. Like, don't force things on. Let it happen naturally. The platform encourages networking. Build those relationships. Build the trust. Let people know, and trust you. And then you've earned the right to reach out. Right? Now, Christina, I love to hear your thoughts around quality versus virality, because I know you used to touch on this quite a bit.
Yes. Well, first of all, taking something from what you said, trust. What used to work, so let's make no mistake here. What used to work on LinkedIn still does, which is building relationship, actually talking to people. So if you're on LinkedIn, you have to get comfortable with talking to strangers if you want to do business, right? So just don't approach them like, oh, hello, I have something to sell you, right? So you have to build the trust. So building relationship is still important, and it goes beyond the algorithm. So the algorithm is doing this, but you can still do and keep doing what you were doing, building those relationships and building them based on things that you have in common and things like that. There are so many events here, where people relax and chill, late night karaoke room. There is a lot of stuff that still happens to socialize, right? So there is all that. And then quality. Yes, LinkedIn is a platform where people are trying to better themselves, trying to learn. Uh, I was, before I've been doing some research for a while on all these changes, right? And the numbers haven't shifted much. 80 to 85% of LinkedIn users are professionals. They're not business owners, they are professionals having jobs, climbing the corporate ladder, dreaming to leave that job, and all kinds of stuff like that. And then there is 15, 20% of creators or business owners that still have that great opportunity to be discovered by this 80, 85%, right? So what what the name of the game is creating enough quality content to be introduced to those people through another avenue. But you can still do the work that you were doing before, communicating, approaching people, creating events, newsletters, article, and engaging with those that are responding to those on your own, and build your network that way. The only thing that it's happening is that now your content is not necessarily being shown to those people unless they want to be notified. So they're showing the content based on what they're engaging to and saying that they like, based on the feed. So that's why creating this quality content is very important. I'll share an app with you. If you want to create educational content and you have premium, log into LinkedIn Learning and see what's trending, what courses people are taking, what things people are interested in. And that's a great app, because it's like, oh, everybody signed up for this class. That's in my skill set, right? So now I'm going to write content on this topic because that's actually what I do.
Yeah.
Or sign up for those classes and share the class, right? If you're a job seeker and you're taking a class on UX design and you're looking for a UX design job, you can take the class and share it and start talking about the job that you want to be hired for, UX design. That's what I think about quality.
Bez, any take on quality before I move on to my next question?
Hey, what was the question again? I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I answer the correct one.
So quality versus virality from a
Oh,
recruiting lens, how important is the quality of your posts or the quality of your engagement, whether it's in comments? What do recruiters look for when they're, I guess, parsing through resumes and then jump onto someone's LinkedIn profile to see if there's a match?
I think from a, because I'm also a business owner, but from a recruiter standpoint, to your question, they're looking for someone that's they can quickly ascertain that if they're qualified and have the skills for their job, right, that they represent. And so that top of fold, and I always tell people, hey, that banner, your profile picture, that top of fold is such important real estate on your LinkedIn profile. Make it stop us scrolling, right? Put something in that banner that, even if you throw in some words, I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but make it seem like, if we're looking at it and we don't even get to the words, that we already know what you do, in a half a second, right? And then it intrigues us. Don't put too many words that we can't read it, right? So quality is always important. And just from you were saying quality, everybody I think here agrees that quality is the most important. Research backs that up. I mean, there's and I've heard you guys talk about this, there is so much AI slop out there that people are thirsting for quality content. And so much that, if you put quality stuff out there, even if it's a long form, and you've put some white space in between, you make it where people can, and some bullet points that people read it, especially on a Saturday or Sunday, they might read that long post. um and that's why I love this new uh 360 brew, because I'm seeing stuff that is 4 weeks old, 6 weeks old. I'm really enjoying the algorithm, because it's putting stuff in front of me that makes sense for me to see. So, hey, as a candidate, if I were looking for a job, or if I were trying to network or grow my network, I would be intentional what kind of network I want to build. I would go make a list of 100 quality people I want to connect with, right? I would, if I put any content, it would be quality content around what I do. Because you know what? I know what I do. I'm an expert in what I do, because you do it a lot, right? A lot of people aren't expert at interviewing or doing a perfect LinkedIn profile, or having a perfect resume, because they don't do it a lot. But now you are connecting with people, right? And you're having quality conversations. And I don't care if you have 20,000 or 500. It just takes one important person to make a meaningful connection, to either get a job, get a new contract, or what have you. So people chase the vanity metrics too much. Now, there is something to be said once you get past the 10,000, but it takes time, right? Play the long game, play chess, not checkers.
Fantastic. So Katrina's comment is touching on frequency. So I'm not going to lie, I was one of those, I was going to say nerds, but probably there's a different name for it. I used to post twice a day because I thought I had to be in different time zones and capturing people at different times because of the way the algorithm worked. You know, you had that 1 hour window of opportunity. If it didn't gain any traction, that's it. Your post was all for naught. And that's no longer the case. I can post now with confidence 3 times a week. You know, I'll post. I'll leave one day for the show that I'm hosting, and then I'll leave one day to for a poll. Okay, so maybe I'm in the 4 to 5 post range, but it's so important to recognize that you don't have to chase. And in fact, you'll probably be penalized if you show up here too frequently because you might get picked up or categorized as slop and just spammy. It's like, well, here's a miracle. Like we're not all the Gary V's. Gary V can post every hour on the hour, or his team can, and it'll take off and go viral every single time. We have to know who we are and what lane to stay in. And I'm trying to get myself down to 3 posts a week, and it's going to require a little bit of balancing, and I think that balance is going to take some of my content to Substack, and I'm curious to see what it's going to do in the coming weeks. I'm starting to see my profile views come down, which is fine because those who were showing up really weren't aligning with me, so I was showing up in the wrong feeds. But those who are showing, despite my numbers going downwards, those who are showing up, and they are just magic. We're reaching out. To date, I have 100% connection rate with everyone that I send out a personal connection request to. But I want to connect with those people, and I want them to be part of my community, and not necessarily because I want to sell to them, but because I know that they align with my voice and my vision, and they will bring value to my community. So
Can I jump in on
yeah,
exactly just what you said there? I there's a friend of mine, and I put the link to his community in last night's chat. And I'll just leave it at that because I'm going to share some insights he once gave our group. He's done over 4,000 brand deals, shoppable video expert, Amazon live seller. Um, if anybody knows a little bit about brand deals, he does. He's made a lot of the mistakes, right? And he's been approached by big brands that are they told him, said, hey, we paid an agency 250,000 to do a YouTube video for us, and guess how many likes we got or whatever. And we're like, yeah, how many? 150. I mean, and so they were going to him and saying they were looking, and he was talking about because he's always their brands now are looking for into your point about your numbers are going down, but now you're reaching the correct people. Brands are a little bit over that vanity metrics. They want highly engaged um, followers. So if you've got a following of 500 people, that actually may be pretty valuable. But you can't use the traditional CPM value, right? You have to craft the deals and the collaborations quite a bit different because you're coming from a value perspective, right? And so to those that are, when you said you decreased your reach, but you're reaching the right people, that's what brands want. That's what you want, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mention this quite often. I go through this annual exercise where I prune back my community, and I see on average about 1,000 plus members who either get unfollowed or get their connection removed. And I do that with intent and with purpose because I want to be authentic. I want those who are part of my community to appreciate the value that I bring, and I want to be able to reciprocate and bring value to them. So if someone who reported to me and was a direct report 10, 15 years ago and connected with me because they wanted to impress me, because they were working with me, and I haven't heard back since we stopped working together, are they really bringing value to my community? I would say not. And I have no problem in removing that connection from my community. Because when the algorithm, regardless of whether it's new or old, we all understand that algorithms will push our content to a small percentage of our communities first before it decides to open it up to a larger audience. If I keep getting my content pushed to an inactive or misaligned audience member or community member, then I'd lessen my opportunity to get my content in front of the right community members. So I stand behind doing this exercise. I know I got to get better at who I let in, but I think it's important that we not forget and not rely simply on the algorithm. We got to do our due diligence to manage our own backyard sometimes.
I've got a couple of questions from the audience that I want to pick up on.
Yeah.
Leslie is asking, this is a very relevant question. When you say posting 3 times a week,
Yeah.
does that mean promoting your events, or are you talking about a substantial post that's got a real sort of message? Because not everyone wants to do, I don't do those posts. I don't want to do them. So do we have to do these posts where we have to, spill our guts or share our infinite wisdom in writing? Or is a post something like, I've got an event about this, come next week, 10 o'clock? How do you define the word post?
So for me, and I'm sure it means different things to different people, but for me, I used to refer to it as the content trilogy. There is the content that either warms up my community to an upcoming event. It could be a poll. It could be a post that kind of sets the foundation for an event that's up and coming. This allows me to promote and circulate that prior to the event. Gets people, gets their curiosity piqued. It's like, hey, this sounds like something I'm going to want to tune into, and it brings community members to the event. Then there's the event itself, and then the post production, the evergreen content that comes out of an event, whether it's a newsletter, an article, or short clips. And it finds its way into different social media channels. So I try to contain it to the 3: the awareness and promotion, the event itself, so I don't bog down my community with a variation of content. I used to. That used to be me. I used to compete with myself and my content. I used to have my shows and the content that went along with the shows, and then I tried to be a creative and come up with different content ideas outside of the show. And I was hurting myself because if you take into account what the algorithm is asking of us, they're asking us to stand behind our expertise, stick to our lane. So if I'm writing about one thing and then promoting something else, and all with good intention, because I position myself as a cross-functional leader, and I want to be able to demonstrate how cross-functional I am. I'm actually demonstrating how dysfunctional I am because I'm talking about 3 or 4 different
Yeah.
areas of expertise, right?
It's a very good question. Your content strategy reminds me of a phrase I've heard a couple of times called the content sandwich. I don't know if you've heard this phrase. I'd never heard it referred to as that before, but the content sandwich is one, tell them what you're going to tell them. Hey, we got an event coming up. It's next week. It's going to be really cool. Please come. This is what it's going to be about. We'll see you there. The second one is tell them, have the event, do the event. The third thing is tell them what you told them. Hey, guess what? Here are some highlights from that event we talked about. It was bloody good. Here is a little video that sums up what we talked about. The content sandwich, right? And so you've got it, you call it the content trilogy. So maybe that does sort of constitute posting. I don't want to write these elongated posts about what we're going to talk about. Just come to the show and we'll talk about it on the show. Come to the event, but sometimes you've got to tell people what they can expect. So it's a sort of a Hansel and Gretel breadcrumbs model, isn't it? You've got to lead them in, haven't you?
Absolutely. Here, I'll ask Christina the question because I know that you rolled out a new newsletter, and it's a daily newsletter, and you got a pretty good subscription community. People are consuming that content. Is that something you did intentionally? Was that something you did based out of research? Because when we now hear others saying frequency might hinder us, would you consider changing that strategy, or is it working for you?
The strategy is definitely working for me because I did do that with intention, and the intention was to see who in my community was really interested in what I had to say. So I still have another newsletter that I do once a week on Wednesdays, and that's sometimes a little longer newsletter. And now people that they're engaged with one, they're engaged with the other, or they know of the two existing. But the reason why I did that is because I like long format, and I do know that a post is supposed to be slightly shorter, easy, quick to consume, right? Especially now that the demographics of who's reading them is changing a little bit, and it will continue to change over the years. So the newsletter is where I do education, is where I try to teach, inspire, and offer some resources that might not be mine, but might be some free resources that people can use to get started. And so I did do that. I do that daily, and the reason why I do that daily is because LinkedIn sends 700 emails every day on my behalf with my newsletter and whatever else I have in that, my ongoing offers. And so why not? Every morning, my newsletter is at the same time at 7 a.m. is scheduled, and these emails throughout the day are sent to people that said, I want to hear from you with a new newsletter. Some people message me and say, thank you, I read this every day. This really inspires me, etc., etc. Uh, and, I also had people unsubscribe. Not many, but, sometimes we cannot hold the capacity to read all the newsletters. I also have been guilty of setting up for a lot of newsletters I really don't read. And so I clean up that as part of my feed cleaning, right? But that's why I did it. So I do that daily. At the same time, for consistency, because I said I would do it at that time, and now people that are following it, I would assume they expected to receive it at least on the same day, and same thing for the other. Every now and then I might be a day late because I'm not perfect. It happened last month, but the other one comes out on Wednesday. And then the post, I do post sometimes because I just have something to say, and I do not pay attention anymore what time it's going live. I do keep in the back of my head that it's this time here and it's this other time in Europe, right? Sometimes I ask myself, it's 9 o'clock. Is it too in the evening? Is it too late to post? But it's 9 o'clock here, so I said, you know what? I'll post it. Somebody will see it, right? My posts are not designed to gain a client. So that's the thing. If somebody is interested, if it lands with anybody, even one person, I'm okay with it. I don't think it's affecting my visibility or my ability to get clients, because I use other techniques to do that. I want to get to know people, and so if somebody is following my newsletter and I look that they're following, and I find them interesting, and I think I could actually help them, and they've been interacting with my polls and other things, I'll send them a message and start the conversation. And so what my newsletter does for me, it's lead generation. That's what it does. What my polls do for me, it's also lead generation. And then when I collaborate with amazing people and I go on live events, is okay, that's the face, right? That's the voice. And people get to know you in a different level. But I have multiple uh, discovery calls and coffee chats and get to know things. And I keep them, they advertise them as short, because if, it's not going anywhere, I also have the option to say, okay. But most of the time, when I'm on one of those calls, it lasts longer, because now we found something that we have in common, and we're going to the next level of the relationship. So for me, posting is about expressing, and I do it whenever I feel like it. Newsletter is about consistency and teaching. And then out of the posting, the polls, the newsletters, I found my leads. That's my lead generation system. And I have my conversations. And that's how I conduct business.
Awesome. Now, what's your thought on DMs? I know Keith asked the question. He put the comments in YouTube.
Well,
What role
DMs.
does DMs have? Yeah, go ahead.
So the message, right? The direct message you send somebody, it depends what it is. Are you messaging somebody because you're doing cold DMs, cold selling? That's, to me, is spamming, right? Or are you messaging somebody because you met them somewhere, like on at this event, for example, or they responded to one of your polls, and they chose a particular topic, and now what you do, you must say, hey, thank you for engaging. Here is a resource. Did you know I have a newsletter, etc., etc. So that's what a DM is to me. Or if somebody reaches out to me, a DM is a conversation. Okay, how do you, they explain a little bit of what I do because they ask me, and then we go, usually from DM it goes to Zoom call, right? So that's my view on DMs. Now, LinkedIn is now monitoring DMs. I mean, they've always been monitoring and have access to what we say, but they're looking. Are we sending a bunch of automated DMs, a bunch of messages to people that look all the same? Are we using a third-party platform to do massive DMs that does not belong to them? There is not sales navigator, right? So that's the thing. So the DM is supposed to engage at a different level, and not, it doesn't have to, it cannot be spam. So I think that's what LinkedIn is trying to avoid when they also see how you're messaging and DMing people. I notice impressions and metrics going up a little bit when, instead of sending a DM, I'm sending a post to somebody, and it appears like a DM, but I'm simply sending something that I posted or somebody posted. And depending on how many times I sent it, actually it does something to the metrics. I noticed that by accident. But that's what I think of DMs. DMs is, do you want to talk to somebody? Maybe it's the first step to say hello. I saw you here. This is what I do. I see that you do other events. I do this. Let's invite each other to each other's events. Let's expand our communities. Those are DMs to me. Any other DMs that is, hi, it's hi, Christina. I am a business and personal brand expert, and this is my offer. And they send it to me. It means that, okay, you didn't read my profile. You didn't read that we do exactly the same thing, and you're just sending me a message. Usually my name is misspelled, or sometimes I become Jack, hi Jack, and it goes, that's an automatic call DM, right? Those I don't look at, and if I'm connected to the person, I might disconnect. So those are the DMs that give DMs a bad name.
I have a funny story about DMs. I got this DM once that said, "Hi Keith, I love talking to women who have beaten the corporate game. Can you tell me how you did it?" And I said, "Hello, Jackie. It's Keith here. Um, I'm just letting you know I'm a male. Did you miss that bit?" So she's just copy and pasted her standard reply and put the word Keith in, not even looked to see if I was a woman. Like, that's the ultimate fail, right? But what I wanted to say, and Bez has got a question about this sort of stuff too. I love DMs. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm getting suspended because I send too many, but I love them. And I'm going to have to really think hard about how to use these. But I don't think I'm spamming people. Please let me know if you are. Don't tell me now. Just tell me as a DM. But I have this thing called the golden hour. For me, this is my rhythm. Every weekday between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. Melbourne time, the whole world is awake. You know, it's quite early in LA, and it's quite early in Toronto, and it's people in Europe are awake, and Melbourne, Australia, Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane are awake, and Hawaii's awake, and New Zealand's awake, and everyone that's connected to me is awake. So between 7 and 8 a.m., I absolutely lock that time out. It's what I call the golden hour. And I respond to people with DMs, with real comments. Hey, thanks for that. I noticed your video was good. Thank you so much for following me. And I've got an event next week. Would you like to come? Each individual DM is targeted to them. Right? Now, I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, that's how I choose to communicate. That's how I choose to do it. I don't see how that can be deemed as spam. It pisses me off, to be honest. I'm just being myself, saying hello.
There,
Yeah,
one
jump
thing I
in.
have, one thing I have noticed about your DMs is you do cut and cut, because I'm in a few group chats that are the same as yours, and you do copy and paste the same thing across different chat groups. So maybe that's what LinkedIn doesn't
I
like.
think that's what it is. That's one
Yeah.
example I use is because my reach was so bad, I was doing posts and polls, and I'm saying, okay, I've got this poll. If I do nothing, I'll get 3 votes. So I'm just going to say, here's the poll. Hopefully you can vote. You voted on the last one. Maybe you can vote on this one. And that's how I actually get my DMs. You posted on the last one that you liked this. I think this poll here would be also good for you. The essence of the information is the same. I don't have to write it out every time, but I'm changing the name. Hello, Bez. I've got a new poll. Can you vote on this for me? You voted on the last one. Hope that's okay. I'm guessing that's what LinkedIn thinks is spam. I'm not automating it. I'm just bloody fast.
Yeah, I love what Christina said about the DMs. It is so true. The pitch slap is coming hard and strong from Facebook and Instagram over to LinkedIn. It's been like that for a while, and you're right. They don't even look at your profile. You can go from one gender to the next, and they're not even looking. Sometimes you're doing the same thing. What There was a conversation around DMs, and this is what they said works really good. Just, sort of like, how do you normally connect with people, right? Are you Do you get right into their DMs, or do you because you could, and this is a way they were saying from some of the research they've been doing, is that think of it as a marketing function when you're trying to get to somebody, right? And so you have to, the old marketing adage was you have to touch them 7 times before they'll buy, right? And let's just think about not even buying, take an action that you want them to take, right? And now it's around 10, maybe even more, right? So they recommended, hey, if you really want to talk to them, comment on their post a few times, right? Start interacting with their content, right? Specifically if they're active, right? And then when you slide into their DMs, they know who you are. You're not a total stranger. So, it's you really have to quit trying to get from, A to Z in one move. Remember, play chess. How you normally would get to know somebody. I don't really know Christina that well, but I'm here on this stage getting to know her, and that counts for something. So the next time I reach out to her, she'll probably answer my DM because we were on this stage sharing thoughts, right? So you have to, there's many ways to get to know people, and I'll just real quick tell you, years ago I started interacting with someone who's a dear friend now. I didn't know her, but she would put some content and some thoughtful stuff on LinkedIn about LinkedIn, and I had some. I would respond to. I would engage with her content, put meaningful responses, right? And sometimes we had different ways we thought about things, but we were respectful with each other. But that back and forth was really good. Like it was stimulating, right? You just don't have to always agree, but you can be respectful, and you can sometimes even provide a nuance to a question or a comment or a thought, and you can go back and forth. That's really enriching, right? And before you know it, we got on a Zoom call, and we now, if we ever get on a Zoom call, we can talk for hours because we're talking about this, that, government contracting, and all sorts of topics that interest us. Um, and then before you know it, she had a podcast, and I started joking with her in the DM, saying, "No, I'm too controversial for you. I'd love to be on your podcast, but I don't think that I can." And then she started going down what's your controversial thought? And then before you know it, she says, "I want you on my podcast because I have this um, thing that when people are lamenting about applying, and they're applying thousands of times, and they have yet to get one interview. I tell them, quit applying. That's the problem. And so when I do a post like that, I get quite a bit of engagement. I have fun. People will go down to, hey, write a paragraph. I'll write two paragraphs back because I'm really passionate in my point of view. But anyways, I got on the podcast, had great fun. It was 30-minute podcast, and we laughed the whole time. It was one of the funnest podcasts I've ever been on. But I didn't develop that relationship, you know, between looking up her profile and sliding into her DMs, and it just doesn't happen overnight. Not meaningful connections, right? And sort of like as Christina, I hope over time I get to know her. She seems to have really great thoughts. I'm listening to what she's saying, and I'm like, yes, I'm resonating what she's saying. But it still is a journey. Relationships take time to build. So, anyways, thank you for letting me share my thoughts.
Fantastic. We're going to open the floor, and if anyone wants
Just,
to.
I mean, Christina has to go. Why don't we give her time to wrap up?
Okay.
I don't want to give, yeah, and then we can ask people. Do you mind if I share the link with people who want to share?
No, not at all. Christina, go ahead. Sorry this went longer. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for being part of the conversation. Today we focused on relevance as it pertains to the LinkedIn new algorithm, and we were having some fantastic conversations around different perspectives and lenses of relevance. But why don't you wrap things up and let our community know how they can get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you.
All right. So first of all, my apologies. I didn't realize we were going to go past the hour and a half this time. So, just another example of how much value this event is and the events that you all are. So, amazing value, lots of time spent on this, fantastic. I want to wrap up with this. LinkedIn is a third party platform, right? So we are here, and things change in every third party platform, marketplace that we utilize. People do their updates, they do their own research to future proof themselves, to keep staying in business. And we as users have to do our best to understand it and to stay relevant and to be able to make sure that this platform still can benefit us, and our presence can benefit people that need our help and support. So what I want to say is, I don't think there is reason to fear this change. First of all, it's been around since the beginning of the year, and now we're seeing, the results happening, right? So they've been implementing things here and there for a while now. And second of all, they didn't take away what we were doing before. You just have to remind people, hey, if you want to see my content and you're in my network, click on the bell, right? So that you can be notified. And you can still find all kinds of way to connect to the network that you spent years building. But I want to encourage everybody to see this boxing as an opportunity. Just fine, I'm boxed in. Let's see who's playing in that box, because you may make other amazing connections out of that. And unfortunately, with that, all this filtering, all this stuff, and all this regulation, sometimes creators that didn't mean to break any rules, they get suspended because LinkedIn is regulating these patterns of messaging and DMs in larger numbers, not because the person that is being suspended does it all the time or did something wrong. Unfortunately, is a casualty, right? But it's because there are people that have been doing this massively, massively, and actually have been hurting our business, because now every time you send a DM, because somebody was sending thousands of DMs, uh, and some people are used to receive all these things. I said, buy this from me, buy this from me, buy this other thing from me. Now you're sending a DM and everybody is suspicious. Who are you? Why are you DMing me? What do you want? Am I pitching you or are you pitching me? Right. So that's what's happening. And
You
so,
had that experience, didn't you, America?
huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had
America
that
has had this
experience.
experience. You're exactly right, Christina. This idea that there are the spammers that come, and then you get tarred with that brush. Oh, here's another one. Here's another one of those people sending me all those DMs about what they're doing when
Exactly.
they haven't had time to read through the differences. Like these people sending me stuff about solar or how I need to have an app and how they're offended that I haven't read their third email. But you know, just go away, please. Please just go away.
So let's
So
be
you,
positive.
yeah, good idea. Very, very good idea. Yeah, and apologies for doing these long shows. There's so much to say, and you can see we
Amazing.
must have cracked 100 comments by now. I would think, America, have we?
I lost track. We are having some tremendous engagement. So thank you for those
Amazing. I
who.
wish I could stay
No
more, but
worries. We'll do another one, and we'll plan more time if necessary. So
excellent.
I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to queue up another version of the what is this new algorithm song that Keith put together for us,
Is this
and
the
I
Prince version, the funky 80s version?
and I will change up the stage and the studio. And if anyone else wants to join us, we'll reconvene with our talking heads. All right.
Good
Perfect.
Thanks,
evening,
Christina.
everybody.
Good
See you
night.
later.
All
All
right.
right,
Bye
we'll
bye.
come back. See you on the other side.
Yeah. See you on the other side. Bye bye.
Oh!
What is this new algorithm? Got me spinning in your rhythm. Every click, every beat feels like you were made for me. What is this new algorithm? Is it real or just a system? I don't know, it's truth or fiction. Because I'm trapped in your encryption. glitch I didn't fix. A perfect loop I can't resist. You're trending in my heart's domain. A viral spark I can't explain. Are you comfortable to adore me? Or just data that implores me? Swipe right, love deep. I'm in too far to sleep. What is this new algorithm? Got me spinning in your rhythm. Every click, every beat feels like you were made for me. What is this new algorithm? Is it real or just a system? I don't know, it's truth or fiction. Because I'm trapped in your encryption. Trapped in your encryption.
And there we have it, folks. What is this new algorithm? It is an hour and 45 into what has been a great conversation. We're now into segment 2. Those who have stuck around and continue to stick around, if you want to join us on stage, we have room for up to, I think, 6 more people. And be happy to send you the link. If we're not connected, let's connect on LinkedIn, and I will DM you the link. Gentlemen, it's been great. Thanks for being part of this conversation. And thanks for bringing the contagious vibes that make live events so rewarding. You know, I get asked
It's
quite
a very good example, isn't it? It's a great example of what we do. You spoke for an hour and a half. It was effortless, so much so that the guest had to go because they didn't plan for such a wonderful time. And you are so good at this, man. We are definitely pushing you forward for sharing this love because we must have hit 100. We must have hit 100 comments at least. I reckon must have.
Hey, the one thing I love the most about doing these is I will curate my notes, but when the comments start to fly in, I just put the questions aside, I put the agenda aside, and just let the people dictate where the conversation goes. And we've had some great comments dropped, and I hope I didn't miss any. I know that Michael did put a tremendous thread, which he's very good at doing. I didn't bring it up, but he touched on something I will bring up. Give me a second here.
Yeah, I have something on that too after you say your thoughts on that too.
So Michael mentioned that he was going to write or into Perplexity Space and create a post on how do you write to meet the needs of 360 Brew. And my understanding is that the intelligence behind this dynamic AI model is that it can decipher what is AI generated and what is not, and it will not give you the love and amplification if you're just copying and pasting AI generated content. So
What happens if you don't like writing? I mean, you just missed it. You're lost. You got nothing.
Well, I guess you got to take AI for what it is, but use it as a tool. If you're just copying and pasting, it could probably recognize. But if you put in, like if it takes you to 80% and you put in that extra 20% effort, then you might be all right. Something we may want to test.
I want to pick up on this. There's a phrase. This is a very interesting story. There's a phrase now called AI assisted writing. Right. I can tell you for sure I'm never going to write an article from scratch from my own brain. Never. I can tell you that for sure. So either I do something with AI or I do nothing because I'm not going to do it. So AI assisted writing might be Can you write an article that gives me some indications about the trends on Substack or the trends on LinkedIn? And I'll just sort of assist by moving that into a sort of a format and move it around and change it and make it funky. So AI assisted writing allows me, who is not a writer, to play the game, because otherwise I just wouldn't. So that they miss out on all of that. And I'll answer your question, Leslie. I've been suspended 5 times since Halloween. So I cannot use my LinkedIn account. I'm suspended until Friday night, 6 p.m. So I'm apologizing for not being able to send you your the normal amount of DMs. So I just haven't got access to LinkedIn anymore. And I've had to completely reconfigure my brain to adjust to what it wants me to do. And I do feel like I'm in a box. I've got to be honest. I feel like I'm in a box. But you had some thoughts on that, Bez, didn't you?
It's actually affecting the applicants applying. And I'll just tell you this. Recruiters are getting resumes that are super enhanced. And then they'll even send, and I'm talking, senior technical recruiter friends of mine. They're excited to talk to somebody, and they send them like, hey, answer, what are your thoughts on these 3 questions? Answer them. You can email, you send them in a document, whatever. We're still going to talk. Let's talk tomorrow at 3:00, but just fill this out and send it to me before we talk. And they get it back, and it looks really good, right? And they'll tell me, because they're doing the pre-screening for their leaders, and they'll get on the Zoom call with him, and they tell me, Bez, they can't put 2 sentences together. And I followed up with a few recruiter friends of mine who are internal, because there's articles out there about the AI and the boomerang effect with people who are applying and trying to beat the ATS. Because there's a lot of career coaches out there that says, I'll teach you how to beat the ATS, and that's a game, right? But I'll tell you that my same friends will tell me that they'll bring a really good candidate they vetted to a leader, an executive, good slate of candidates, and that leader will say, take that person out of the pool. And they'll look at them, why? That's a great candidate. I personally vetted that person. I don't care. That resume is AI written. I've seen that format before. I don't care how good they are. I'd rather have a different resume, even if it's worse. Not interested. And so I don't know what to tell you, because there's a lot to be. I think people have really gone to town on AI assisted writing, and it's made people. I'm not going to say a bad thing about it, but what I'll say, because I use it too, but it's you can tell, and it is, you're going to see AI can help you, but it starts to sound the same. That's why America is saying, hey, that last 20%, make it your voice. That's going to be critical, right? Because people want to talk to you. They want to hear your voice, not an AI. And so I'm just going to land it there. And then I do have a couple thoughts on what Mike posted. And I'm coming outside of 360 Brew, but let's just finish that theme first before we jump into another subject. But any thoughts on that?
Well,
Michael,
we know we have what they call AI slop, right? And we already have a flood of AI produced posting on LinkedIn. My concern now, and if you looked at what I posted, you almost need an AI to at least help you frame, and this is the key point here, help you frame what or how are you going to respond to 360 Brew? And if you're going to get any vision, the only real difference, gentlemen, is before LinkedIn had a plethora of algorithms that maybe even LinkedIn didn't even know how to tell you to do. Now with 360, it looks like all of those algorithms are under the one roof of 360 Brew. So, people are already starting to go through, basically the I guess the responses from the LLM, and this is where I'm getting, I'm doing research on 360 Brew specifically, and so it's looking for the bottom line is what, and Kinga actually brought this up. It's in essence going to force us to look the same, meaning that it's going to reward uh um subjects that are grouped around the same thing. In other words, for me, it would be cyber. And so it's really kind of forcing me to borrow Keith's phrase, to be in a box. Like one of my challenges is, as you can see, I'm promoting my songwriting tonight. I can't really do songwriting and cyber and be rewarded. Now, there's supposed to be a way potentially I could do that as long as I do it consistently, but it's going to get really complicated. And my question, to be honest, and this is going to take us low off of 360 Brew, is why leave myself in the LinkedIn box? Why not look at other platforms as well? I'm not saying I'm leaving LinkedIn completely, but why not look at other platforms? And particularly for me, my audience, yes, I'm sure for like my bespoke musica, there's an audience on LinkedIn, but my audience for tracks is not necessarily on LinkedIn.
I think you should look for another platform. I'm not convinced LinkedIn is a creative platform. I mean, they tried it once. They're actually trying it again with BrandLink, and I'm not convinced. I haven't, they failed once already on the creator type of stuff they were doing, and here's the thing, and I was talking with our esteemed panelists here that I was in a room on Friday morning of they had analyzed tens of thousands of posts and what worked, what was working really well, and some of the things that I'll just say from a general standpoint is that they're really what works well, and you talked about format, but I'm just going to just take a higher, back off from that, is your take and your voice in your expertise, right? It is LinkedIn is looking for that now. One of the things that they said that they have people come to them and say, hey, my content's, I'm consistent, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, and it's not taking off. And when they analyzed their content, they said in a nice way, and I'll tell you the nice way and the not so nice way, it's very light. Or some, nice, not so nice way, sometimes they'll say it sucks. They go, and it's some of their clients, they said they have to beef up that content and make it more attractive and heavier, right? Things that will stop the scroll. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm sometimes I look at myself. I thought that was good, but they said have your content and have someone else look at it and give an opinion, and have a few people that will be honest with you, right? Because that's more valuable than you banging your head thinking, man, because I think all my writing's great, I can't be objective, right? But Mike can, Keith can, and Americo can. They can say, Bez, this is really light. You can do better.
But
that's
in regards to LinkedIn, though, I mean, have you seen the movie Amadeus?
Yes.
This is a very, very relevant point. Amadeus, arguably the world's most famous musician ever, wrote an opera, and the sort of content overlord said, look, that bit in there, we don't like dancing. So you can't, the king has decreed that you can't have dancing and music in opera. And so you have to take out the dancing, and the actual opera is 4 hours and 18 minutes long. We think that's too long. You've got to make it 3 hours and a half. Says it's exactly right. I know what was in my head. This opera is exactly the right length, and everything is perfect. And I wrote it. And how dare you tell me to make my opera shorter or to take out the dancing bits? It's what it is. I created it, and I know it's right. It's right. And so creators hate being told what to do. Imagine if you had to vet your posts and say, what do you think? Can I put this on LinkedIn? Do you think this will get any traction? Well, just stop doing it. I mean, we'll just stop writing. Stuff them. Come on. I mean, I'm writing from the heart. You can't tell me what my heart thinks. You can't tell me what's right or wrong. I'm writing from my experiences. You can't tell me that's wrong. It's just rubbish.
Keith, the other thing is that I'm really trying to get my head around is you are going to have to write for AEO now. So and AEO is basically writing for LLMs. So you have
What's
to.
AO? Adult only.
No, it's automation. I forget what that stands for, but it's basically how you have to write. It's like a SOE, but it's AOE. You have to write so that the the LLMs can read it. So what does that mean?
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, if you look, yeah, if you look at some of the things I wrote, one of the things that LinkedIn is going to focus on in general, and we wouldn't necessarily write this way, Bez, to your point. You're saying just be yourself, sort of. And it's like, no, they're looking for what they're calling dwell time. Does that sound familiar? Who else does that sound like? So
yes, that the algorithm is looking for dwell time, so it has to stop to scroll. Absolutely, right?
yeah, but it's both, right? It's so I wrote on the side there in the comments, you want to prep. What do I mean by that? Well, you have to look at. They actually are going to watch how you're looking, not just commenting, but how you're looking at what you're commenting on and how long you're staying there. Then they're in essence they're really wanting you to focus on that subject and not just comment but also repost or post. So they're kind of forcing you into a box, and I'm like, the question to your point and to Keith's point is, as a content creator, as a creative content creator, do I want to actually spend my energies on trying to fit into the algorithm, into the LLM? And this has been true actually before this. Yeah, I agree, Marcia. It kind of is. So anyway, that's the question. Do we want what do we want to do on LinkedIn? Do we want to be beholden to 360 brew, or do we want to do our own thing? And that's also a question, kind of a broader question, is what are we on LinkedIn for? To be honest, guys, one of the things I'm focusing on is quality networking, not reach. I want to connect with Keith. I want to connect with America. I want to connect with Bez, and I want to create high quality network connections. And also, I want to start focusing on collabing. I'm to be honest, I don't want to chase the algorithm anymore.
You are 100% right. In fact, what they was in on Friday morning, they used the term, but I use the word taking conversations off LinkedIn. LinkedIn knows that. They can tell, because they scan your DMs. Hey, let's get on a Zoom call. Let's get on a phone call. They see that. They want those conversations to get what they call deplatform, right? And if I was a creative, I don't think I would be on LinkedIn, per se, right? Because there's other platforms that are probably a little bit better and even will pay you. I mean, Facebook and Instagram, if you're doing some creative stuff and you're on there, they may even pay you for your content. I got 84 cents the other day, by the way,
Whoa!
and I didn't know what I did, but
Hold the presses,
and a
man.
big old 84. Man, I was jumping up and down. I go, this is the future, but it's I think you asked a good question. Why am I on LinkedIn? And that has to be a question that you have to figure out is, if the question I'm asking and the answer is LinkedIn, then great. But it may not be LinkedIn, and that's okay. Think of the ecosystem of what LinkedIn is. There are a lot of other platforms, like we're talking about Substack. Man, Substack's pretty cool, especially if you're a creative. You know what I mean? So
Well,
I
Bez,
just
you
think
you hit
sometimes we mismatch.
yeah you hit on something else though. LinkedIn doesn't pay you. In fact,
No?
you pay LinkedIn.
Yes.
so
Yes.
so Substack's gonna, if I can get enough of a following, will pay me. Instagram, TikTok, and if they don't, I'm gonna drive traffic using TikTok to Bandcamp and to DistroKid. So I, at some point, as a creative, to your point, and I don't want to focus just on creative, but I'm really rebelling, I guess, against being put in a box.
You should. You
But but
should.
but even as a cyber guy, it's like, I this is the only way I can get reach, is to sort of bow to the algorithm. I don't know what it is about me, but I'm not liking it. And so, like I said, I'm going to be using LinkedIn relatively differently.
It's this is a great conversation, because that when we have this rub and friction, it helps us ask deeper questions, right? Because I love where you're going with this. It's like you're not feeling the love on LinkedIn, and because you've got this other tentacle that you're pretty good at, right? With music, and it just doesn't fit in that box that LinkedIn wants to put in. Hey, LinkedIn was a square peg trying to fit in a round hole when they were trying to do a creator program that they never listened to their creators, and little did we know that they disbanded the software engineering team 4 months after they launched LinkedIn Audio, and we didn't know that, until they sunsetted it. And then Keith over here says he's talked to internal people in LinkedIn while LinkedIn Audio was still a product, and they didn't even know LinkedIn Audio existed. I've ran into people in my own network didn't even know what LinkedIn Audio was. It's crazy, right? So LinkedIn is as imperfect as all of us here.
That is a great, great truth. Listen, we're not perfect, and I think the bigger an organization gets, the faster it loses control and loses sight of its day-to-day operation. Like we learn and hear stories where the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and it's perfectly normal. We shouldn't really be too surprised. Um, but on that note, let's not make this about corporate America, corporate Canada, or because we'll lose Keith. Keith hates talking business. Um, this has been a fascinating conversation. I do have something I wanted to bring up and hear your thoughts. Give me a second here while I bring this up. The algorithmic boosts. LinkedIn favors content that sparks conversation. And yesterday I touched on this. So, is it best for us, regardless of what lane we want to be recognized for, what area of expertise we want to be recognized for, that if we want to get that extra bit of octane, we got to make our posts or connect our area of expertise and circle back and have that caveat on how it influences, impacts, and helps community members inside this ecosystem. Am I the only one who sees this as
You
perhaps a
do?
hack?
Do you mean the conversations
Yes.
commenting?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a great point. There's a myth out there that you need to be commenting for 4 hours plus. They're saying that's actually not true. That content is still king, but engage or comment. They said no more than 30 to 60 minutes max per day. Do not get drawn into commenting too much, because with 30 minutes to 60 minutes you're going to really you're going to start getting noticed that the algorithm is going to reward you, because when you post, right, you've already been noticed by others for commenting on their stuff, so when you post they see your stuff now, right? And if you're adding value, if you're commenting like a pro and adding value in the comments, right, you know what it does, it establishes Mike as an expert in cybersecurity, right? Because his comments aren't superficial, it's like they're deep. Like, have you ever been in a room and someone asks or you go to an event and you ask a question, people are coming up after you because they have identified that your question is different than most other people's questions, and because your question was that good, they know you're deeper than than the question you just asked, right? So there is value even on LinkedIn, because it's more effective now when you slide into someone's DMs and you've been commenting, you've been contributing, they know who you are at that point, and it just builds that reciprocity, and the LinkedIn algorithm favors you and views you now as an expert. So yeah, I love
But
where you're going down the path on this. I think it's not only a hack; the research shows that that's successful.
I hear people saying, you know, you're nobody in the eyes of LinkedIn if you're not at least commenting 250 times in a given week. Like, it's like,
But
wow, that's a big commitment.
but Americo, that's changing. At least my understanding is, and I don't know how else to say this. They're going to be focusing on dwell time, and literally they will be watching. This is a little bit Big Brotherish, but they're going to be watching how long, for instance, you spend on reading other people's content and then commenting. And everyone's like, well, okay, so that's fine. Like, do you do you really want to have to bow to Big Brother looking over your shoulder to see how long I'm looking at Bez's content? And then I also have to have in the back of my mind now, don't get me wrong, I'm interested in what Bez is saying, but then I have to craft that information in such a way that it's relative and appears, so some algorithm that's relative to say that that content is relative to what Bez is saying. And I so rather than maybe being, I don't know what you want to call it, authentic about my response, I always have to have in the back of my mind, how can I be how can I beat the algorithm, or how can I increase the algorithm? I don't know if you were asking this, Americo, but I did post if you noticed. I know this just blew my mind because I had never seen it before, that there is a default when you post about who it goes to. I don't ever remember doing that, and then I look back on my posts, and most of my posts were to everyone. But what happens, this is new that I'm aware of anyway, that when you post something, you there's a drop down there. You select who you want to post to. It's everyone, your contacts only, or group. Um, Somehow mine got stuck on connections only. I don't ever remember setting that, so that artificially would constrict my audience, right? So
Hmm.
that's even before 360. Now 360 would potentially look at all my connections and say, okay, I'm going to send this to Bez because Bez is interested in job seekers, and Mike just posted about job seeking. So then I'll send that to Bez. But I guess my point is, I'm always going to have that in the back of my mind is, and if you looked at what I posted, there's this whole posting algorithm basically, or framework that you have to kind of keep in the back of your mind to be successful on LinkedIn. So it's just, to your point, yes, you will be able. Particularly as this goes on and more people are figuring out exactly what LinkedIn is doing with 360 Brew, but it will force you to maybe be less authentic and more algorithm. Because like I said, I think I got 700 and something impressions on my LinkedIn post about LinkedIn. It was why your LinkedIn posts are invisible and what you can do about it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got 943 impressions on that. Part of that, by the way, is I have a gentleman that I really like. He's a LinkedIn guru. That's Kevin D. Turner, and I tagged him. But that's the other thing. I don't know what 360 Brew is doing with tagging, particularly big names. If my sense is that if you tag them, and just like everything else, it's going to be looking over your shoulder on that. If you're tagging people and they're not responding, then the chances are that it'll keep track of that.
Yeah,
And
it will. It
um,
it is documented that if,
yep.
because they're trying to minimize those who use alt tags in their images, and they cram in 50 different people into those alt tags, and those who create the blue wall of tags. If those people that you're tagging don't engage, you will be penalized.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just things to think about. Fun things to think about, how to algorithmize your output.
But even,
I
the fact that
actually,
we're having, yeah, you go, Bess.
I just real quick, I actually think this new algorithm is going to help you not chase the algorithm more, because we've been always trying to hack it, right? And I'm starting to see stuff 6 weeks from 4 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, and it's very encouraging, right? I'm like, wow, that wasn't 2 hours ago, that was 6 weeks ago, And so I'm hoping I'm being more optimistic on this new algo, right? But yeah, we're here talking about it, right? Because we're trying to hack it.
Well, I wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily say hack it. We're trying to learn from it and learn from each other as to what we find is working, because we're all in different lanes, right? We got IT, we got recruitment, we have an audio specialist, and a virtual event specialist. So different communities, we share some similarities among our community. The four of us have come together through our community, but we have different facets within our community. And if we keep having these conversations, today we scratch the surface on relevance. In a couple of weeks' time, we can learn something new and bring another show on the air and help our members and our community members share what they've learned, and we can reciprocate and share what we're learning to get better, and making sure that visibility stays at the forefront, networking with impact stays at the forefront, and that we don't get left behind or succumb to a shiny hack that isn't really a hack. It's going to hinder our success. And if we can stop one another or someone who attends this, who was thinking about this particular hack that may or may not exist, and I'm sure we're going to start seeing people, hey, how to beat 360. Like, I'm surprised we haven't already read anyone who's trying to orchestrate hacks for 360 Brew.
Can I ask who here on stage? I know Keith is above 10,000. Anybody else above 10,000 connections or followers?
I am.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay. I know I am too. Um, Mike, are you above 10,000? I think you are, right?
No.
Where are you at right now?
I'm only at I think it's 25 and change, I think.
Okay. I remember when I was at that. There is a so they said to get to 10,000 is really, really hard, right? It takes a few years. And I can't remember because in 2016, I think I had 2,800 or 3,800. And man, I was a recruiter. I've been using LinkedIn since 2006. I was a pathetic case, right? And and I don't remember when I got above 10,000, but they did talk about the 10,000. It takes years. It takes just to, but once you get past, now you can actually do it if you do certain things, but you have to work really hard. You can get there quicker. But they said once you get to 10,000, then everything starts to compound. The network effect, is just more amplified. And I'll give you an example on over. I decided not to do much over the summer and just dive in deep into some of the research and some of the communities I was serving, and that extended into the fall, and yet I still grew. But one thing I would do is hop on things like this, Keys, Miracles, anybody else who had a show, right? Because that was a low lift, right? I didn't have to do much except show up, right? Keith did all the hard work. Madeline Scalar did all the hard. Miracle, and yes, I'm gonna do one too, but I'm trying to just get a little bit honed down, specific of what I'm gonna do. But yeah, if you pass the 10,000, I'd love to hear what have you noticed once you got past the 10,000. Was there something different? Because they're saying there is something about getting past 10,000 on LinkedIn that can help you.
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing, really.
I actually posted when I was on the cusp of hitting 10,000. Anecdotal post. Hey, I'm on the verge. I'd like to learn from all the 10,000 plus community members. What can I expect? Is a shiny car going to show up at my doorstep, or brand offers going to start knocking on my door? Tell me what I should expect. And more times than not, people are going to say, expect more pitch slapping, expect nothing. And that's in fact what happened. So it was intangible. I wouldn't even say worth writing about as to what transpired. Now I could have hit 10,000, as you guys know. I could have hit 10,000 years ago, but I keep pruning back and making sure that my community is of quality to me, and it brings the purpose and intent that I need. Uh, and 10,000 doesn't really mean anything. There's a good chance that people who are going to start buying or continue to buy aren't the ones who are following me. And the ones that I've
That is
lost,
true. Yeah.
right? And the ones
I,
that
I've
I've
got
lost, yeah, go ahead.
I've got a slightly alternative view on this. I have noticed about once a year, sometimes twice a year, I appear on a cool list, which is complete vanity. The top 50 marketing experts in Asia Pacific. Number 9, Keith Keller, LinkedIn. And I get these really cool graphics, and I've got one on my banner, top 50 brand ambassadors for the 2020s. Now, I've been using that for years. Now, I was very fascinated to talk to you, Bez, about this. What's the word I'm looking for? There is this trigger in our persona. I am triggered by fame. You are triggered by money. So when someone says, I made $1 million in 2025, that would trigger some people. Wow, that's pretty cool. When I say I've got 20,000 followers, that would trigger some people. Wow, that's pretty cool. And a brand, which has happened to me, a brand might say, well, with 20,000 followers, we better send you a bit of stuff and you can test it for us and you can have one. Just have it and just give us your opinion. And that has happened. I haven't had any clients contact me and say, hey, you must be pretty clever. You got 20,000 followers, 22,000 now. But I have had a lot of brands reach out to me and say, can you test this new product and tell your friends? Which is exactly what I want to happen. I want to be famous. I want to get these free products to test, and I am testing them. So that is based on a number. If someone came to my profile and saw that I had 575 people and claimed to be a live streaming expert, they'd think I was full of shit. I mean, I know some people have said this. Like the story I want to tell you. This is a very funny story. When I first got onto Substack, someone contacted me and says, "Mate, I'm going to teach you how to monetize your Substack." And I said, "I've only been on this for 4 weeks and I've got 17 followers. I've got more followers than you. How can you teach me to monetize when you haven't even done it yourself?" "Oh, I know so much. I know so much, but I just haven't got the word out yet. You know, can I teach you what I know?" I said, "Well, what happened on LinkedIn?" "Oh, I don't use LinkedIn." I went and Googled him. There was nothing. I couldn't find a single reference to this person on the internet ever. And I'm thinking, you mustn't be that good. Come on. I mean, how long you been doing this? Did you just leave school or something? I mean, there's not a single reference to you on the internet. How can that happen? Even just starting, you're going to have something, right? Not a single reference. And he says, "Oh, yeah, but I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, but not everyone else knows that I know that." So the vanity metrics, even though that is exactly what they are, 22,000 connections now know that I exist. They've said yes when I've invited them to connect. They've said yes 22,000 times. So that's a badge of honor. It's very interesting that we have this discussion because I've been resonating on what you've said, Bez. You want to teach people to make $1 million in a year, or at least hang out with people who have. And that doesn't trigger me. It doesn't excite me. It doesn't juice me up. Doesn't touch any part of my body. But if someone,
Let me clarify that. I want to be on a journey with people that no, I have not reached $1 million in revenue. So let me clarify that, because I can't teach something I haven't attained, right? So I just let the masses know,
yeah. But what I'm interested in is the trigger. Like, you are triggered by that. You think, wow, if I could hang out with someone who's made $1 million, I would do that. Like, I wouldn't even buy him a coffee. I mean, I've been invited to events in the city. I've been invited to events in the city. This guy took this company from $8 million to $1.2 billion. Come on a Friday night and get free drinks. I mean, it's not interesting to me. No, that was a full event. Like, it was just filled out. My friend said, like, you did miss a good event, and I was going to give you a free ticket. But I thought, well, it's raining. It's about an hour away, and I think I'd rather watch TV. So it didn't trigger me. But if Eddie Van Halen was doing a masterclass on how he did the solo from Beat It, well, I'd be the first to sign up. Like, I'd be right there going, "Mate, I don't play guitar, but I want to hear you play the lead guitar break from Beat It or Eruption." So we're triggered by different things, right? And I think this discussion has really made me aware that maybe LinkedIn is not a very good place for creators. It's not honoring what we need. It doesn't juice us up. And that doesn't probably bother them because we're not their key market. And that's actually very good alignment. We know now that it's not a good alignment. They don't need to pander to us because we think differently. Yeah. Picking up on what Mike said, his songs shouldn't be on LinkedIn. People on LinkedIn don't want to hear his songs. He may not want to. He's got good songs.
There's a bit of a different thing too. Unlike, first of all, we're not getting paid. Second, they don't want anything outside the walled garden of LinkedIn. Meaning, and this is, I think, has been proven. If I'm doing it anyway, but if I link from LinkedIn to Substack, and I think you're going to find, Keith, if you wanted to move, so you have 20,000 plus, and you want to move those to subscribers on Substack, you are probably not going to get the reach that you want from LinkedIn. Not that there's an issue with Substack, and vice versa. LinkedIn is not going to promote your Substack posts. Yeah, like I'm doing I've done a number of Substack linked articles on LinkedIn. I'm guessing that I have to go back and look, but they're not going to get reach, as opposed to something that is like I have 2 newsletters on LinkedIn. And by the way, that's also a thing we should all be doing, is writing articles and newsletters, because LinkedIn looks at that. They want that's second in. I think the first thing is pictures, like carousels, supposedly, and then secondly would be anything that's produced within LinkedIn. But you don't want to move off of LinkedIn. But that all aside, and I'm not trying to beat up LinkedIn. It's like I'm just trying to find the best path to where I want to go. And to your point, LinkedIn might not be that path. Now, I did want to. Bez actually had brought a gentleman in, and I wanted to get your guys' opinion on UGC, user generated content, and whether that, because you're not making that I know of, Keith. You could potentially be making a nice bit of coin if you're interested. You may not be on creating user generated content for these people that you're talking about. I mean, you do all these mic shows. Um, why couldn't you get, if you have enough of a following, why can't you get paid to do that? I mean, you're testing them out anyway. Why not get sponsored? By those. So that's just, I'm just throwing that out there as a potential use of LinkedIn. And maybe you're doing it on Substack, maybe you're doing it wherever, but if you're doing it also on LinkedIn Lives, and you're using Restream to send it to wherever platform, take advantage of every platform that you're on. But if you're at 20,000 on LinkedIn, see if you can use it.
Well, what to your point, and I'll bring America on this. We're tag teaming on this. A company called Effie, EFFI, and the URL is effilive.com. See, I'm mentioning them. They contacted me and said, "Hey, you're doing this stuff. We've got a live streaming platform. Can you test this for us and tell us what you think?" Yeah. Okay. How'd you find me? Oh, well, you've got 22,000 followers. We're pretty impressed with that. You must know what you're doing. If I had 2 followers, they wouldn't be reaching out. So I've got 22,000 connections. Very key distinction. All right, I'll test your site out. We can have a chat later about how good it is. We'll do some research on this. It's not up to it yet, but we'll help them out, bring it up to speed. There's a couple of things going on, but the point was they reached out. They said, "Well, look, you have got this following. We have this product. Can we convince you to use our product and talk about it?" I used it, and it's not very good yet. They were open to change, and I can't get it to work. And I'm pretty confident I'm not stupid. So it must be the product. Might be a combination. Maybe it was a bad day. But America is also having problems. So we're contacting them and saying, "Look, you're probably not there yet, but we're happy to help. Let's get some brainstorming going. And I think this might work here and that." But the point was they contacted us because we had the following. They wouldn't have done that if we had no following. They wouldn't have. I mean, why would they? Would you agree, America? It's got to have something to do with the number.
Yeah, absolutely. The number does come into play, but where do you draw the line on that number? It's hard to say. They reached out to me. I'm at 10,000. They reached out to you. You're at 20,000. Would they have reached out to me if I was under 10, but active and streaming with the same ambition? Who knows? But to kind of maybe backpedal and answer Bez's question, if I noticed anything at the 10,000, if I had to say the one thing that did change, or I started to pay closer attention to, were the brands who were reaching out. Hey, we think you would be a great brand ambassador. Hey, we think you would align well with us, or we'd like to collaborate and do something with you. I've done a couple of shows where I've showcased some brands, and Nothing panned out afterwards. But if I were to answer the question, I would say that the eyes on us and the opportunities, although few and far between, but there are more opportunities that have greater potential in terms of equity in startups and scale ups.
I this that we're having this conversation. I think I probably remember more when I had, and I can't remember when was it that I decided to grow. It was either 2,800 or 3,800 connections, right? Um, and off my crusty LinkedIn profile, as ashamed as I am to say, as a recruiter who's been using since 2006, that someone reached out to me in November of 2016, December, and wanted to talk to me, and and it was a great conversation because their need and what I was an expert in aligned. So it was a really good conversation. And then at the end, they asked me what my rate was, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, I haven't been consulting since 1999, and then I said a number. They said, let me think about it. They came back, and they came off my number, but it still was a good number. It ended up being a 5-figure per month deal locked in for 3 months, right? So that's, at 30 grand right there because of my crusty LinkedIn profile. And I remember more of that than when I reached 10,000. I'm sort of like you. I'm trying to remember, what was there any aha moment at 10,000? No, but I'm getting more ahas right now with people approaching me about brand opportunities. Yes.
Here's
Yeah.
here's a question I'd like to piggyback on what you shared, because I had this conversation last week, and someone had reached out. Hey, I think this would be a great opportunity. They worked for a swag merchandise or promotional merchandise organization. I think we have some great alignment. Imagine the experience your guests would have if you had a gift bag or a gift program. It's like, well, hold on a second. Uh, I have no place or budget because I'm sharing my stage, and this is actually part of my marketing. And I get to bring someone on stage, and we get to share the spotlight, and I get to demonstrate how easy it is to remove anyone who's overthinking about going live. But then the thought sparked, well, how about a brand deal? You think there's an opportunity. How about an opportunity for me to support your merchandise? You see, I wear a cap at most of my lives. I'll wear a cap and promote your items. It could be a coffee mug. No, let's look at this from a product placement perspective. And I piqued their curiosity, and they started asking me, it's like, well, what's your average viewership like? So there is a market. The question now becomes, at what point do these shows and brands start showing up saying, hey, how about we support you? We throw you some merch. You talk a little bit about us. You take these commercial breaks, throw in our jingle, and we'll throw a few dollars your way because you've reached a certain threshold of viewers. That is a real thing. It's like I have one of my connections, Lion Flood, does the same thing that I do, and he had me guest on one of his shows, and we had to take commercial breaks because that's how he pays his bills.
Yep. So I do believe the number makes a difference, and it's definitely made a difference to me because that's how I measure my success, Like I measure my success based on how many people view my content, how many subscribers I have. That I'm a number chaser.
Hmm.
And so I'm very proud to say that I worked out that I can get 10,000 views of my content on Substack in 90 days. That's a number I can work with. That's how much I'm getting, about 100 and something a day viewers on my content. Haven't worked out where they're coming from, but it's a number I can take to the bank, and it's the number I resonate for. So if Shaw rings me up and says, "Hey, we got a new mic. Can we send you one? And can you demonstrate that? You keep it and just give me an opinion." Yep, I'm up for that. I'm totally up for that. That's why I've
So
been chasing numbers.
yeah, so the question now becomes, what has uh, more value? Is it your followers, or is it the participation? Like how many views, how many downloads? Like if it's a podcast, how many downloads are you getting? What are we going to get in return for our investment?
Yeah. Well, and Bez talks a lot about this. Most savvy marketers are now switching from a pure number to engagement. So when I say I have 22,000 connections, that means a lot more than 22,000 followers. I'm about 750 behind my follow account with my connection account. They're almost parallel now. So if I have a show about a mic, I can send that show directly to someone who has listened to my other shows, which is why I'm really pissed off if I'm getting pinged for DMing, because I'm sending a show to someone I know is interested in it. You came to the last one. I reckon you'll like this. This is me talking to you. It's not me sending some generic fluffy email that you might like. I know you'll like it. And you don't know this. So this is going to be useful to you. I know maybe I send a bit too many and maybe you're getting too many things, but there's lots to talk about. The world is big. There's 8 billion people floating about. I'm always in. I'm up all day. I'm doing this 10 hours a day. I learn things. I know things. So my gut feeling is that I'm going to keep going with LinkedIn, and I hope they don't suspend me forever, but it's not suitable for creators. They don't get us, and they don't need to. Heavy metal is for certain people. Veganism is for certain people. Star Trek is for certain people. Only 8% of the world is vegetarian, probably less, 4%. I'm used to being the guy that has to flip the menu over and read right down the bottom to get the one vegetarian choice. I'm used to that. I get it. I'm in the 4%.
Hey,
So,
three-hour shows are for certain people as well.
that's right. I remember once going to this French restaurant and saying, "Look, I'm just walking past and I'm wondering, do you have any vegetarian food?" And this guy, this big beefy guy, the size of a football player, came out and said, "Mate, I'm sick of you bloody vegetarians. You take up about half of your menu, and bloody hell, there's only 3% of you. You take up about half of my menu, and you're so full of shit. We serve meat here, and if you don't want to come, just don't come." I said, "Well, there it is. Good on you for being honest. We're right. We are 3% of the population, but turns out most of my friends are vegetarian, and we're never coming here. And they're telling their friends to never come here. So you've just lost about 20 of my friends and their friends. But good luck. There's other 97% of the other world might come to you and put up with your bullshit. I'm not. So this idea of being put in a box is starting to really sort of grate on me. And I'm going to work it. I'm going to work the algorithm, but I feel like I'm working the algorithm. I'm not being myself. I'm playing a game. I'm learning the rules and I'm flipping it. I'm cheating. I'm sort of doing an AI cheat to get. It doesn't feel right.
There's
Would you agree, Mark?
Keith, Keith, I've noticed that if you have a free account versus a premium account, it's almost like to send messages to people, you can't send as many as you want a free account. And and I'll tell you that LinkedIn just recently, for the free accounts, where when you connect with someone and they let you do a message in the same connection request, that it used to get 5 a month. Now for the people who have the free account, they're giving them only 3 of those. They took 2 away. So
No, that's okay. Look, I get it. I'm not against them, but
yeah.
it's like traveling. I have no desire to go to Iceland, say. Sorry for anyone
Yeah.
who's listening in Iceland, but I have no desire to go there. And it's a lovely place, and it would be fantastic if I could build up the courage to go there, but I just don't want to. That's got nothing against Icelandic people. They're just not in my wheelhouse. I've got other places I'd rather go.
Unless
Uh,
wifey wants to go.
unless wifey wants to go, and we'll go if she wants to go. But you know what? There's only one of me, and there's only 24 hours. Why should I hang out? Like really, I got to ask, why should I hang out in a place where I keep getting suspended every week? I mean, isn't that just a message from the universe that I should change? Why should I change? You
Oh,
know,
Keith, I wanted to bring this up before, and I think it's a great time to bring it up. Is I don't know if you're familiar with Rick Rubin, but he's basically he's written actually extensively on being creative, and one of his main points is the audience comes last. Now, for those of us that are chasing numbers, that does makes no sense. But if you are basically saying, look, I'm going to create whatever it is you create, music, content, whatever, poetry, articles. And I'm doing it because I need to get it out as a creative. I have a passion, if you haven't noticed, about getting these songs out. It's like I don't care to some degree if I ever make any money at it
because you
because
have to do it. It's in
I
your
have
blood. It's in your bones. It's in your
yeah.
bones.
Yes. And I've been doing poetry forever and I did vocals for, a long time and it's in my blood to your point. So what I'm saying is I this is going to sound rough and I'm not saying this about you gentlemen, but I don't want to prostitute myself
No,
for
no,
the algorithm.
this is exactly what I feel.
I want to do and I want to go more importantly to a place. Now, if LinkedIn is going to entertain me some way and they can show me how to do this without having to jump in the box, then I'll do it. But I'm focusing on places like Substack, and I'm going to be looking at even though I don't really want to go, I'm going to be going on TikTok and all that because I want to drive traffic to where I'm going to be selling or where I'm going to be streaming my songs.
That's
So
right.
so why am I going to sort of and to your point, it's like if the universe doesn't want to reward you for being on LinkedIn, don't be on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And so my point here though is I'm not going to chase clout or whatever on LinkedIn. What I'm going to use LinkedIn for is to have these network connections like we're having right now, quality connections. I'm sorry, but this is nothing against you guys. I'm not going to focus on the number. I'm going to focus on really having deep, meaningful connections on
Oh,
LinkedIn. And
that's very
that's
good.
it.
It's very important. Of course it is.
Awesome.
I mean, of course it is. So, mate, you must have to wrap up now. It must be about midnight there.
No, it's just shy of 10 p.m.
Okay,
But
well, that's pretty. That's pretty easy.
it is a great segue. I will take you up on that. Wrapping up is a great idea. We have people who are sticking around and have stuck around on Substack as well as LinkedIn. Let's take a moment to thank those who have enjoyed the conversation. Feel free to continue to engage in the comments, save, share, and repost if you think that someone else needs to hear part or the entire conversation. I think we've delivered quite a bit of value today. I will summarize it and redistribute in audio, written, whether blog, article. It'll find its way across my ecosystems. Um, but, gentlemen, why don't we wrap up? Go around the screen here and have everyone kind of share their closing closing thoughts. Bez, want to
Oh, yes.
start us off?
Closing thoughts. Well, I do appreciate you on this Thanksgiving Eve here in the United States, a holiday that we that I observe, and gives me an opportunity to think about this past year and what I can be thankful for. And I will tell you, one of the things that I was part of is building an IRL community, uh, and we got a charter from 1 Million Cups that's headquartered out of Kansas City, and we started in my little rural town, and it's an entrepreneur meetup, but just sort of like what we're doing here. And as I reflect a little bit about this past year, I'm thankful for the connections I've made, but not just for the connections and how many connections, but for the friendships and the relationships I have built. That means something to me, and I appreciate you, Mike. I appreciate you, Keith, and appreciate you, Americo. Just want to, shine a little gratitude on that as we go be with our families after this
Yeah.
show.
Much appreciated. It was with intent and purpose that I moved today's show from Thursday to tonight to respect that the fact that no matter how open and willing I was to share the stage, there are bigger priorities, and tomorrow's a holiday in the U.S. And happy Thanksgiving to you, and thanks for reflecting on what you're thankful for. Michael.
Well, I want to echo Bez's thoughts on gratitude. I certainly want to do better at practicing gratitude every day, but I certainly want to at least once a year. I usually do it around my birthday too, just to kind of take an examination of the last year. This year has been a little rough. I've lost two people. Um, One to cancer and one to other issues. So I really, am so glad to have these relationships. And like I said, that's one of the things that I really want to focus on, whether it's on a LinkedIn Live or Clubhouse or whatever the mechanism is to just to reach out and really be uplifting each other. I mean, it's to me it's kind of what we should be doing generally. Is why not, instead of being in direct competition, which I think we're not because of the way we think and the way our capabilities and experience, we don't have to be in competition, we can be in collaboration. And there's something about, man, I just feel so good when I do that. So I'm just real thankful, America, to you obviously for hosting this, and the other gentleman, Mr. Bez, and especially Mr. Keller, because I just love Australians and particularly Melbourne folks. That's a long story that I won't go into right now. But I've actually had the chance to go to Melbourne and Sydney, and the Australian people were just so welcoming. I don't know if it was my accent, but I just really loved Australia. So thank you all for this evening, and I definitely look forward to tomorrow as well. Thank you.
I
Well,
love this.
Mike, if you come up my neck of the woods, I might share the dueling banjos with you.
Okay. I actually have relatives now in North Carolina, so yeah, if we ever make a car trip, I might hit you up on that.
Please do.
All right, Keith, let's bring it home and we'll close it off with another
Uh,
rendition of what is this new algorithm?
I just love this online community vibe, and I'm very grateful for that. Thanksgiving is not an Australian tradition, but it's a very good one. So it's a good chance to reflect. I love the fact that we can chat together, and I like to talk. I prefer to talk than to write. So I love doing these shows. As you know, I do two a week, and I'm always up for doing more. And I had this this is possibly my greatest piece of gratitude. I said to myself that I wanted to be on 12 shows a year this year. And I looked and I realized that I was on 4 shows from 4 different locations. But in reality, I've been on many shows with Americo in Toronto. And I flipped the switch. I just flicked the idea that I might not have been on 4 or 12 different locations, but I was on lots and lots of shows with Americo, who's in Toronto. And people on those shows were from other places. And I'm very grateful for that, because these shows will go on YouTube and I get a chance to talk about what I do. I more importantly get a chance to talk to people I like to talk to. We chat. There's no upsell. It's just, we just love chatting. And we can, which is proven, because we can crack 3 hours without breaking a sweat. And it's just so brilliant. So I want to honor the fact that it's late there, but I also want to really express that massive gratitude for this year, that you've been part of my journey. And I've been on your shows. You've shared your wisdom. I've come on your shows, and we're just going to build on that. And I think it's just an alternative way to view that 12 shows that I wanted to be on. I have been on 12 shows. Just means that most of them have been in Toronto, which is a funky town. I've been there. So I really want to thank you, Americo, for that. I want to thank Bez for all of his massive help. Sometimes he plays the grandfather and says, mate, this is something you've got to do. And we do have a bit of a discussion about that, because he gets me, but he grates me, because he gets that I'm a creative, but he has ideas which are beneficial to me, but I just don't want to do them. And Mike and I share that love of making songs. He writes his own lyrics. I use Perplexity, but the point is that we're in this new era of writing songs using tech. I mean, we're going to be brothers forever. So, I mean, I think that's a lovely way to end. You go and end with that Latina version. It'd just be a lovely way to end the show.
Fantastic. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. This is my first 3-hour attempt. I think the last time we fell short of 3 hours. I'm starting to get the hang of these, and perhaps we'll go for a record next time. It is just shy. Oh no, it is now 10 p.m. Eastern time here. Those of you who stuck around, thank you so very much for being part of today's conversation. I will cue up the music and bid you a good night, good afternoon, wherever it is that you find yourself. And for those celebrating Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving.
What is this new algorithm? It's reading between the lines. No more noise, just precision. Matching hearts and minds. What is this new algorithm? It's the rhythm of what we do. If you post with purpose and passion, it's gonna find you true. Check my feed this morning.